are a bit dewy. It doesn't really matter to you are pretty dewy.
Okay, we're live. Have you ever been dumped or cheated on or rejected by a girl you really liked, or worse, had a super toxic woman carve years out of your life? Let me promise you, as a woman, it's probably not because you're too old or short, unattractive, or you don't make enough money. It's because you need to wake the hell up and understand my point number one. Women will exploit you and even hurt you if you let us. Much of what I'm about to say will really piss you off, even though it's the truth. So it's really important for you to ask your questions or let us know about anything you don't agree with on this video so we can help explain it to you guys properly. My job is training guys how to approach and go on dates over Zoom, then face-to-face at our boot camps. But we're still amateurs at helping you guys on YouTube, where you're often nowhere near the level of the clients we've already helped. Okay, the reason us women can so easily exploit you and hurt you is because we have the most staggering social IQ advantage over you. Like, you may be twice as physically strong as us, but we are 10 times socially stronger than you, maybe more. We can easily tell when you're lying or when you're not very sure of yourself on something. We'll sometimes do something mean to you, then read your reaction and just see how much further we can push you before you break. And yeah, I know some women are as proud as can be if they can torment their guy to the point where he even punches the wall and injures his wrist. But it's not all bad news. In fact, it's fantastic news, because if you get a handle on what we're going to share with you tonight, you can understand way more about women than pretty much every other guy, and you'll have much greater access to women than you ever have before just by understanding the stuff I'll share with you tonight. And pay attention and keep watching, because in the first half an hour, we're going to give away the #1 mistake most guys make when they want to become more attractive to women after a breakup or a divorce or a long time of being single. It'll probably shock you. Oh, and in about 30 minutes, I'll show you how you can get to practice your dating and approaching skills with me one-on-one over Zoom and get my expert coaching on how to prove with women dramatically. Okay, to help me with this, I'm going to introduce the guy who founded Social Coach 20 years ago and has done hundreds of boot camps and workshops in person with his clients. It's 55-year-old James McLean. Hey, James.
Hello, guys. I'm the village idiot who jumped in too soon. Yeah, I'm so happy to share this with you. I'm so happy. I think we've done about 50 of these already, and I think this will be the best one. It's definitely one I'd have wanted most when I was 30. I'd have literally paid 100 grand for it. Okay, the biggest lesson of my life I've ever learned about women is this. I'm sorry, you're so freaking socially dumb compared to women. And if by chance you've got an engineering degree from MIT, an MBA from Harvard, you're so analytical, you're probably way worse than the dude who served you coffee this morning. And I'm going to explain this to you. I'll explain how badly women will exploit you and hurt you if you let them. And to do that, I'm going to use the second greatest book of all time, Madame Bovary, written by the greatest writers. Okay, this is a story you'll probably see yourself in. Emma Bovary is a 17-year-old peasant. She's a poor farmer's daughter, and she marries 30-year-old Charles Bovary, who's a country doctor. He's a wee bit dull, but he's a doctor. And obviously rich back then. This is from the 1860s or something. He loves her completely because of her youth and beauty, surprise, surprise. But like a lot of highly educated men, he doesn't have a fucking clue about female psychology and what women are capable of. And he thinks she's just some simple country peasant with a pretty face and a great body. She wants the money. She wants the luxury that she's read about in books that you get when you're married to a rich man. In the context of a little peasant farm girl in the 1860s, a doctor is a rich man. Little does Charles, the doctor, know that he bores her senseless. A lot of quite successful guys actually bore their wife senseless. Sorry to break the news to you. Or even their partner. But he's got no clue. He thinks she loves him. He thinks they're really happy while he goes about doing his whatever 60 hours a week, driving around, curing people of their illnesses to build this great life for her. But little does he know she's miserable. Again, one of the greatest books of all time. So quite quickly, she takes her first lover, a rich womanizer, seduces her, and then just dumps her like a bag of shit. Heartbroken, she moves on to a young guy, a clerk. And this idiot doctor suspects nothing. A lot of the novels made up talking about her affairs and her emotions and this sort of thing. He still believes it's his loving wife. And I'll bet many of you watching out in YouTube land have had this exact same thing happening to you and you've got no clue. Okay, the money situation's worse. Emma Bovary runs up huge debts, who he has had a woman spend a hell of a lot of your money. And this is to pay for affairs, to pay for the expenses of her lovers. She even manages to somehow get control over Charles's finances. And the stupid fucking idiot doctor trusts her and she bankrupts him. The funny thing is, he's the very last one to know about all her lovers and to know about the debts. And this stupid prick keeps loving her the whole time. Okay, huge spoiler alert. If you want to read the book, which I'd really recommend, just skip forward 2 bits if you're watching the replay. Everything falls apart when the debts comes due. The doctor realizes he's bankrupt and ruined. And as it turns out, she has one little snippet of morals in her. She can't face the shame of what she's done to him. So she commits suicide with arsenic. Even when he finds all this out, the doctor still loves her, forgives her, thinks she's sweet and lovely and misses her dearly. It's only after she dies that he finds her actual lover's letters and sees what she finally did. And this completely breaks and shatters him. And he dies soon after, completely ruined and heartbroken. And he leaves his daughter, who he also loves, with nothing. She's gone back to being a peasant. Okay, can you relate to any of that? As I said, this is one of the greatest novels of all time, and for good reason. I'll bet most of you guys in your 40s, 50s, and 60s, particularly the ones who've built an okay life, worked hard, can see at least some of yourselves in that. To be honest, I can see my whole fucking childhood. So yeah, what can you do about this? You've got to stop falling for the greatest lie that's ever been sold to men, or at least for the last 200 or 300 years. If you build it, she will come. If you build it, she will come. If you work hard and you study and you get good grades, you get into good school and you go do engineering or physics or medicine or business, maybe you get an MBA, and you work really hard, get a good job, whatever, start a business, get a trade, start a business, and just buy nice things, nice clothes, nice apartment, nice car, be sweet and lovely and generous to her. And then this wonderful, beautiful woman will just come magically out of the air and land on your dick, and you'll live happily ever after, just like all the Hollywood movies and TV shows, who are paid for by large corporations, by the way. But yeah, so often that woman is Emma Bovary, the female star of one of the greatest novels of all time. And she is eventually going to tear your soul to pieces because you married her for her youth and beauty, and she married you for your wealth and status. It was a transaction, even though you might mistakenly think it's love, possibly because she hasn't had enough experience with women to understand that. And yeah, the greatest thing I have ever said on the subject of women is this: women don't respect men who can't easily go up and pick up other women on or about their caliber. And if you get a good woman because you got a good job, or you got some money, you got a house, or maybe you're tall and handsome, or maybe you're charismatic, or maybe you're playing a band, or you're good at sport or something, if you get her, but you haven't gone out, hunted your own meat, is one of my favorite rich clients nicknamed what I did for him. James taught me how to hunt my own meat. If you haven't done that and you don't really understand women as well as you should, the way we teach you in these YouTube lives, so often the girl you get who you think is wonderful will destroy you, just like in that book. And the thing you don't understand is so many women, I'm not saying Tess is one of these women, but a lot of women are, when they're around weak men or when they're stuck with weak men, particularly as they're starting to age and getting over their beauty peak, they just feel disgust and contempt for you. And some women, particularly the Russian woman, they actually feel the need to destroy you for sport. As you know, whatever Australian, Canadian, English girls aren't as brutal as particularly Eastern Europeans and Russians. And yeah, you're, funnily enough, these toxic women destroying everything around them is the subject of so many of the greatest novels of all time. Macbeth, Madame Bovary, Wuthering Heights, pretty much everything by Chekhov, the Russian playwright, Atlas Shrugged, Fountainhead, so many more. So how do you have the joy of dating, sex, and relationships? It's been some of the greatest joy and growth of my life without the dangers. You've just got to learn to protect yourself. And there's, honestly, I watch other YouTube videos sometimes. I'm trying to learn to be a good YouTuber, and there's so much more to it than, you know, set boundaries and be prepared to walk away. I mean, that's 15 or 20% of the game. You've got to understand female psychology. You've got to understand to read signals. You've got to understand how they test, manipulate, and screw with men. At least you don't even need to be that good at it. You just got to be better than the other men. And just stop falling for this gigantic scam or psyop that the rich countries have pulled on you. If you build it, she will come. It's a scam. It's a scam to get you to work harder. That's why America, England, Canada, Australia, Netherlands, Germany, South Africa, New Zealand, Sweden, Ireland, and Norway are the richest countries in the world. And also that's the top, whatever, 10 people who watched my last YouTube video, that people have been scammed the most, the people who tune into Social Coach. Not one Brazilian. Yeah, it's because our societies and corporations have intentionally programmed us to be clueless with women because it's good for the economy. Just look at the S&P. And yeah, just to really do a good job of conning us to think that at the end of this rainbow, of hard work, they've got this carrot in front of us that, you know, we think pussy, love, connection, satisfaction. They're so clever in our countries. They don't need to convince us we need to work hard and buy nice things. They even feed our woman horrific, nutritionally worthless junk food to make them look not so pretty, so that we have to compete even harder for the few attractive women we have left. Yeah, and it's obviously, if you can remember the way American or Australian women or Canadian women looked in the 60s and 70s, probably even the 80s, Eastern European women and most Asians do today, you'll see what I'm talking about. Tess, do you want to give me your 2 cents on this? What do you have to say?
Yeah, absolutely. No worries. First of all, I just wanted to say welcome to everyone. We've got some familiar names here, and anyone new, say hi in the chat. But yeah, of the people watching our videos, around 90% of you haven't subscribed. So if you could do me a huge favor and subscribe, ring the notification bell, and share it with any of your friends, you know, people you think might enjoy this. This would help us so much. And it'll help you too, because it'll be sooner that I can start doing regular YouTube videos and shorts, as well as these 3-hour Q&As. So yeah, like, subscribe, ring the bell, and share, please. But yeah, so my 2 cents on this. Okay, basically, it's so obvious the difference between men and women when it comes to social IQ. Like, even from a very, very young age, like if you take a 3-year-old girl compared to a 3-year-old boy, like the 3-year-old girl will have her parents running circles around her. She'll be manipulating them. Like she's got these complex, you know, like understanding of what's going on in the social dynamics, where oftentimes, you know, like a 3-year-old boy will still be like bashing cars together and playing with their trucks and whatever, and and that's kind of keeps them amused. And it kind of just shows you the way that women, the way we think and the way we get what we want in life from a very young age. It's really part of our instinct, because again, it comes back to evolutionarily, you know, we don't have the physical strength that men do. So in order to get what we want, we do have to be able to manipulate certain scenarios. And I'm not saying that we always use it for bad, but in a relationship, it is the upper hand that we have on you guys. Absolutely. And it's an instinct for us. Yeah. So, you know, a lot of the stuff that we're doing, like manipulation, is not necessarily, negative. But if you guys don't understand what's going on, we can take advantage of you, especially if you don't set boundaries and you don't understand what's actually at play there.
Fantastic. Thanks for that, Tess. Sorry, I was just fixing something up. Unfortunately, it gets even worse with point number 2. It's really, really good if you get this stuff. But yeah, the truth is, and we're here to tell you guys the truth. We don't want to make this a depressing one because it's really going to help you, save you a lot of pain and get you a lot of women. The truth is that women are only really attracted to guys that they can't fuck with. And just the way society works, women very, very rarely get to marry the guy they really want because every single other guy wants him and there's incredible competition for him. So to help you, just a quick favor you can do us. We want to help understand, we want to understand you a lot more. So just a quick question, if you just answer it in the comments, that would mean a lot to us. So hypothetically, if I was to train you, if Tess was to train you, and you were to be one of our best students, we could grant you one wish. What would it be? 6 months from now, you'd have your absolute dream girlfriend and she's crazy about you. You know, great sex, great holidays, wonderful connection, no dramas. You're as happy as could possibly be 6 months from now. What's that? December 2026. Or in December 2026, would you rather have massively improved your skills with women, gone on, I don't even know, 2 dates a week, had, half of them or at least a third of them make it through to the bedroom, maybe had some short flings, and then you haven't quite found your dream girlfriend, but you're really confident with women. And you're good at meeting them and getting rid of them if they're not the right one for you. So if you could please tell us in the comments, which one would you rather be? Would you rather have pretty quickly got your dream girlfriend after a few dates, or would you rather have a lot of dates and a fair bit of fun, then get your dream girlfriend? Please tell us what you would rather do in the comments. Women are only really attracted to the guys who they can't fuck with. Have you ever known a woman you thought she was beautiful, interesting, sexy, so desirable, you had a ton in common, but most of her boyfriends were just losers, and you've worked hard, you're a successful guy, you look after yourself, you go to the gym, you're a good person, you give to charity, whatever, help old people across the street, and she's just going out with this absolute fucking loser arsehole, and you're just tearing your hair out going, why is she with him? Why is Jennifer with that guy? Can't you see what a dick he is? And you're way better looking than him. It's not just a money and status thing. It's like, you're way better looking than him. I've known models, I've hired models who would repeatedly date guys who would hit them, not just slap them. I mean, hit them with a closed fist. But they just went back to these guys over and over again. And then their next guy did the same thing. And I'm just like, what the hell's going on? Now, if you want to hear it from a master filmmaker, you've already heard from a master writer, Flaubert, I can't even pronounce it correctly, Gustave Flaubert. If you want to hear it from Scorsese, please, this is one of the most underrated Martin Scorsese movies there is. Casino. Sharon Stone is wonderful. De Niro is, as always, wonderful, and Joe Pesci is amazing. This is basically an instruction manual on what happens to super successful alpha male men in business who aren't so super successful alpha male with women. They get the worst toxic girls. You probably heard me say this before. If Amber Heard hadn't fallen in love with Johnny Depp, then Elon Musk ain't worth 1.3 trillion and the world looks completely different to what it was. So everyone's got to thank God for Johnny Depp tonight. Okay, the reason women want to date guys that they can't fuck with this is a real great lesson I'm giving you here, is that's the ultimate symbol of pre-selection. Pre-selection is a Darwinian concept, initially from Descent of Man, having a brain freeze. And that's where so many female animals, they don't look to see and study who's the most successful. They just watch the behavior of the other women and go, okay, well, there's 2 women beside that guy and no women beside that guy. So it doesn't matter that he's short and he's got a hairy neck and back. And he's driving a Hyundai, not a Bentley. He's got women beside him. I'm exaggerating a bit. I want that guy. And that's what they do. But you've got to understand, if they see you with other women, they're more attracted to you. But one of the ultimate ways to demonstrate that you've had hot girlfriends before is, like really hot girlfriends, is if they can't fuck with you. Because if they can't fuck with you, they're like, how this guy knows all my games. They don't work on him. I want to suck him for 20 hours in a row. I want to have my babies. I want him now. I'm going to tear and bitch and scrape and fight my way over the other girls to get to this guy, because I can't fuck with him. He must be amazing. Just to give you some practical examples. There's so many, it's not funny. The most beautiful girl I'd ever talked to was a model. And my second date with her was, she came from a strict Catholic family, was I went to dinner with her extended Catholic family. I don't know, there was like 15 or 18 people there. It was a lot. So she brings me in all happy, introduces me around, and I sit in this huge table, and she sits at the opposite side of the table and basically just stares at me all night. She talks to the people around her, but she's basically just studying me. And then she throws me in there with these people that, I don't know, and blah, 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 blah. And I have to, I don't know how long it was, 2 hours. And I have to make friends and connect with the grandma and, whatever, if it's someone's uncle and her sister. And I did an okay job of that, but I did a really good job with the family dog, which probably made up for it. And at the end of the night, she just walks up to me and her eyes are just twinkling with delight that she threw me in this huge woman's test and I passed it. And anyway, she became one of the dearest women I've met in my life. Another time when I was wanting to get this girl out of my house desperately, but she was involved in the business, and I was she had me chained through the business, not through any love I had of her. I just wanted her out as soon as possible. She invited me to her brother's wedding, and she insisted that I leave a business conference as soon as it finished so I could get the wedding on time. And I'm like, this is networking. That's what I'm going there for. But yeah, unfortunately, I let her have too much traction over me. So yeah, I did it. And then she gets me, and then as soon as she gets there, she demands I wear a tie, and I hadn't worn a tie since I was in finance. So I'd put the bloody tie on. And then as soon as we walk into the wedding, she ignores me for the rest of the freaking night, which I think was like 3.5, 4 hours. And by this stage in our relationship, her family fucking hated me. And then guess what happens the next day? She wakes up and she just attacks me for abandoning her at the wedding. And I just said, you abandoned me. I didn't know anyone there. How do I abandon you? So I had to use whatever social skills I have, which hopefully are considerable given I'm on YouTube talking to you guys. And it turned out I managed to make a connection with people. I found one of her relatives, distant relatives, who was a keen cricket fan. And I played cricket at a really high level as a junior. And yeah, we connected on cricket. And then he introduced me to some other people who didn't hate me like I was a pedophile. And eventually I passed the test with flying colors. So this gives you an idea. You've got to understand women's games and women's tests and be able to deal with them. This doesn't sound too big-headed, but on a conference, this goes back quite a long time, I was bailed up by 2 of the world's most famous dating coaches, certainly by the metric of YouTube views, and today, definitely by the metric of revenue. And they're like, dude, you're old, you got a big nose, you're weird, you hunchback posture. you're so uncool. But you've had whatever, all these model girlfriends. You got all these model girlfriends around the world, and you got 2 girls in Sydney. I just don't understand how you get the results you do. This is a long time ago. I'm nowhere near as good as that. I managed to travel most of my 30s, which is why I got to invest so much time in this and get the results. And I honestly think a big part of the answer is that I just understood that cutting edge psychology a lot better than any of them, but by far. And a lot of my clients have said, you should just quit all the other stuff and just teach women's tests and female psychology. So yeah, just Tess, talking about just women playing games and setting traps for men, like the example of the second date with the girl I was crazy about, or the girl who was, we were and she just throws me in this nasty situation and then abuses me for doing a good job. And then when I stood up and said, "You abandoned me," she sort of softened and behaved for a while. Can you just talk a bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like if you guys just crumble every time we challenge you or give in and or just say yes to shut up or whatever it is, it's really frustrating for us, and it is so unattractive because we know that we don't have to fight for anything, right? So I think this is kind of natural for all women, that the harder you kind of have to fight for something, the more valuable it feels. So the same applies in a relationship. Like if you stand your ground and have boundaries and and don't put up with us, trying to manipulate you or fuck with you, or sometimes do things which are pretty unreasonable, then we know, okay, well, I've actually got to, it keeps us on our toes a little bit, which actually increases the attraction, right? If we're able to just have you eating out of the palm of our hand and everything's just way too easy and you're just pathetic, we'd start to lose respect for you, and we also and attraction, because it's not sexy. And especially when that sort of dynamic like translates to the bedroom as well, that is really, really not sexy. So all of this stuff, the interplay of how things are in the relationship can sometimes denote what to expect in the bedroom. And sometimes you can kind of rectify that balance in the bedroom if things are different there, but in the early part of dating, a lot of the time she won't even give you that chance because she's already thought, no, this guy's pathetic. So it seems a bit counterintuitive, but it's very true.
Great. Practical example of that. I was teaching one of my advanced events. It was a 5-day seminar. At the end of it, we got some lovely testimonies from people. And there was literally a guy, he was 55. He was a high-level professor. He was largely grey, but he was very distinguished. Almost if you were to cast James Bond, it could be this guy. Extreme upper class Scottish accent like Sean Connery. And so what was the best thing you got out of the event? And he said, "I rung my ex-wife back, and I told her, if you don't have Mandy dropped at my place by 11 a.m., you'll be dealing with the solicitor." And he was really firm, and he just barked that on the phone to her. And she's like, and the daughter was there. So what happened, I told a story of how an ex-girlfriend of mine, I stupidly let her get involved in the business, and she was arranging an event, and she screwed everything up. And then I was having my day off before I had to speak on stage 12 hours a day for 5 days, or at least 4.5 days. And then she rings me up while I'm running the famous Bondi to Coogee walk, running along the beach. And she rings me, I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I answer it because I'm listening to a podcast or classical music or something, or a bit of akadaka. And she just fucking dumps everything on me. And most guys would go, "Oh, okay, what can I do to help?" I'm just like, fuck off. And I just hit the fuck off. And I just hit the big red thing, hang up. And then she calls me back about 5 minutes later. She goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry, such and such screwed up." Blah, 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 blah. So she's just dumping all her failings onto me when I've got to speak for all this time. So I told that story on the event, and then he took a leaf out of my book, and he just goes, "No, this is not on. Boom, have her at my house by 11 a.m. or you can deal with the solicitor. You can deal with my solicitor." And yeah, and that cranked her into shape. And as he's telling this story, he's crying because I can't remember the exact numbers, but I mean, they split up like 13 years ago and she was 9 years older than him. It was a young, hot guy who married an older woman who was really beautiful, and it was going okay for a while. And then she was just like the worst fucking woman. Obviously, she's aging long before him, so it just was never going to fit. But yeah, he'd had 13 years of hell. And a lot of women actually become really bad mothers to get back at their man who left them or didn't respect them, which is just mind-blowing to me. So yeah, what can you do to not be one of these guys? How can you do that? Okay, this is a writer down. You've got to learn 3 things. A bit more than that, but there's 3 key things that will really move the needle. You've got to get better at reading women's signals. You've got to get radically better at female psychology. If you just watch all our YouTube lives, the most valuable tool I've got to teach female psychology is the different stories Tess and I tell. Mine are proven on events over the last 20 years that guys have loved. So reading signals, female psychology, and passing women's tests. First, you got to see them before you can pass them. So yeah, they're the big 3 to have whatever, models or threesomes or get your dream girl, or most importantly, happy relationships. Yeah, so that's what you've got to do to just avoid the hell that Tess and I have shared with you so far. So if you would like some help at that, what we suggest you can do is, Tess, can you do your magic and make it just go the good way? I've forgotten how to do it. Is
like this?
Yeah, no, the other one, the good one.
Oh, like this.
Okay, so if you're this is a word from our sponsors, and our sponsor tonight is Social Coach, funnily enough. So if you're loving the content but no interested in a word from our sponsor that's going to help you get radically better, then just skip forward about 3 minutes and we'll see you on the other side. If you would like to transform your life much quicker than you can by watching these, we think we're the best on YouTube, but it's nothing like one-on-one attention from Tess on Zoom and then come to a boot camp. But if you have a little bit of interest in this, then yeah. Are you worried about growing old and grey and being alone in your 40s, 50s, and 60s? Or settling for an okay woman and she goes all super toxic on you? Amber Heard, Emma Bovary. Have you been out of dating for a long time? Maybe you've been single or married, or you just got divorced. Maybe you're sick to death of dating apps. Maybe you've got approach anxiety. You're scared of rejection. For many of you, you're a busy guy and you've got little time left to invest in the skills and date lots of women, but you really want to find a good woman fast. And many of you are just not really that attracted to women your own age, so you want some sort of alternative to that. So what you do is you have a date with a lovely Tess, and she is an expert at transforming your life, even just on Zoom. So yeah, and what she's going to try to do is she's going to send you approaching her. She's going to role play a few dates. She's going to find out what's holding you back. And then she's going to try to figure out what's holding you back. And she's very good at this. And yeah, she's going to give you conversation skills, openers, date strategies, whatever you need really that she can realistically give you, so that you can beat 95% of guys just if you implement what we give you on this 45-minute call. And then within 24 hours, you have a written step-by-step plan for you to implement to change your life with women dramatically. This literally costs $1,500, $1,495 on Zoom. and you can have it for just $1 with the offer we're doing here. So Tess is the boss of all these women, so she's very, very good, and this is how we've been helping guys for years and years. These are some of the girls that you get to work with. They're a wee bit older than that now. That photo's about 10 years old, but they're still pretty tasty, as you'd say for an English fellow. And yeah, this is roughly what I've done for the last 20 years of my life, just hundreds, or at least well over 100 of these in our workshops. So it gives you an idea. So you get to learn to be better with beautiful women by interacting and going on dates with beautiful women, just like you learn boxing or Muay Thai or jiu-jitsu, just sparring or rolling with a coach. It's exactly real life, exactly what you need to do in the real world. And yeah, part of my deal is you're going on dates with women nearly all of you would find intimidatingly attractive. They're nearly all models. So yeah, that's basically what will happen. We'll get you to sum up your life with women. We'll ask, where do you want to be in 3 months? What are your goals? We'll ask you what your sticking points are. You do all the approach conversation role play. You do dating role play. Tips will be personalized to help you. Tess will answer any questions you have, and then you have a written step-by-step plan within 24 hours. Dating Diagnostic with Tess. Click the link below and book in, and it will change your life. And it was $1,495 on our website. We sold these, kept us going during Social Coach. Tess isn't the only coach. We've got a bunch of them. Natalia is wonderful as well, and they're all models. So yeah, you're probably going to like them. We can change your life on Zoom, just $1 tomorrow. Okay, watching the replay. Yeah, we're taking off on YouTube. So if you want our help and money's a bit tight, you want to jump in soon, because Aussie boot camp's coming up then. US dates, we're announcing US workshops soon. Okie dokie. So yeah, and now back to the regular programming as soon as I can figure out which buttons I need to push to get back to the regular. He did it the first time. Fancy that. Fancy that. Okay, this is going to be the YouTube live you guys all hate. Let me see. Sorry, I tell you the truth. Tess, can you say it? Because you're sexier than me.
We love your style, not muscles.
How do you get a married man to lose 20 pounds? Divorce. So many guys find themselves single for a while, or they've just been through a nasty breakup or a divorce. And yeah, you might have let yourself go a bit, particularly if you're a busy guy. So for some reason, it's been programmed into our head by Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator movies, or Rambo in the 80s or something. I don't know. I don't know where we fell for this big lot of nonsense. When was Schwarzenegger or Sylvester Stallone ever rated the #1 sexiest man in the world? I do believe around that time, Brad Pitt beat him in Thelma and Louise, where the guy was a stick man. Anyway, the first thing we do when we get a divorce is we go to the gym and we start lifting heavy weights, maybe injure ourselves, and we start taking protein powders and eating chicken and blah, 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 blah. Now, I'm not saying this is a complete waste of your time. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is, for all you busy, successful guys watching, and there's a lot of you, we see the guys we do these Zoom calls with and come on our boot camps. If you're looking for the maximum return on time, the maximum ROI, in terms of getting dates with beautiful women, take a bunch of them to bed, and then meet your next dream girl, then I'm sorry, you're smoking crack if you think lifting weights is even in the top 30. Get some great clothes, do a style consult with Tess. Go see a tailor. If you want to do something health conscious, do yoga. It's full of girls who go there to meet men. You don't need to be big and muscly at yoga to get a bunch of hot girls. Look at me. Take a dancing class, do Pilates, do anything. Go to a running club. Gym's probably way down the list. Go to some random meetup group. Anything. Walk your dog. Buy a dog. Walk it. Whatever. Do anything other than go to the gym. That's way down the list. Now, okay. Addressing your health is important, because health is sexy. And one of the byproducts of lifting weights is your testosterone improves, which is crazy sexy. But you guys need to understand, with most women, it's not the muscles, it's the fact you smell and feel healthier, and your testosterone's up. You can improve I've had very high testosterone for a long time, simply because my diet's so clean and I avoid chemicals. It's not from my, whatever it is, 240-pound bench press. Okay, while I'm ranting, the human race is so fucking stupid. It's so fucking stupid. Women spend vast amounts of time shopping, getting dressed up, and getting dressed up. But then they don't do it. They do very little with their diet and they don't do enough exercise. If you go to any shopping center and watch women shop for clothes, it's incredible. So David Attenborough should do an episode about it before he knocks off. They're studying stuff in such incredible detail. It's like you're a brain surgeon, putting a scalpel in someone's brain for the first time. It's like they're full on, locked on in focus mode when they're shopping. Whereas men are, man, I'd rather be dead than shopping, most of us. So the thing is, women are attracted. Women are attracted to the way a guy presents themselves. So they assume that women are guys, so they spend all their time shopping, not enough time getting healthy and having hot bodies. Now, let's look at the other gender. Men, we're attracted to women's bodies. If any of you aren't, you're probably on the wrong podcast or YouTube Live, whatever you want to call it. So we do what we think attracts women to men. So we go to the gyms and lift heavy weights and we try to get the biceps so we look good in the t-shirt. And I try to thicken the shoulders. We eat protein and do all this shit. And some of us even take horse steroids. If you're eating lots of protein, you're reducing your life. It's aging you, and growth ages you. And if you're taking testosterone, you're aging yourself. It's tearing your liver to shit. I'm old. Okay, a quote from one of my favorite writers, Nassim Taleb. I'm old enough to remember when great womanizers smoked, drunk, and cultivated relationships with fine tailors. That's what gets you better with women. From the book The Black Swan, for any of you finance guys, that's what gets you better with women. A couple of real life examples. For any of you know who Bondi Beach, or as you Americans would say, Bondi Beach. I've done a bad American accent. Sorry. It's the most famous beach in Australia, and there's a very famous like Venice Beach style outdoor gym there. And I used to go there, and I was the skinniest, most pathetic guy you'd ever see. In an accident having sex, I managed to screw this. See how that's all bent? It's not as bad as it used to. It's because when I was having sex with a girl, and I was on a leather seat, and she was about to finish, and I thought, I'll just change the angle of the G spot just so she screams even louder. And she did scream louder, but she came down with such ferocity that she actually sent my finger like that. So my finger sort of turned into that way and had to go to hospital at 1 a.m. So anyway, I did this, and it took months and months to get better. So there's a time where I could only do 1 pull-up, and there were girls beside me doing pull-ups. Better than me. They were doing like 7 and I could barely do 1. And I needed the bands and the grips for my pathetic hands. Absolutely pathetic. But guess what? I honestly think the girls hit on me more than just about any guy there. And there was some absolutely magnificent guys, like some of the best bodies you can realistically imagine in your life. But their board shorts were fucking awful. So they had no shirt, incredible bodies, incredible faces in many cases, but they just wore these terrible, saggy, daggy, colorful board shorts. Whereas I was just wearing, plain black shorts, and usually a blue singlet or something. So yeah, it's huge. It's absolutely huge. One of our events, we did we taught guys how to read signals, then we dressed them. And then there were all these short guys coming up to me, going, "Oh my God, that was one of the that was one of the best things I've ever done in my life. I went out for lunch and I went and talked to girls at Woolworths. They were looking at me. They were coming up at me. There was girls checking me out all the time. These were 5'4" guys who were like 50 at the time. One of them was the CEO of an oil company, and he gave me a testimonial I forgot to get for you. And he had like 6 girls on the go at once. Then he had this bisexual girl who was like 28, and he was seeing all these girls with her after just the most toxic marriage. Tess, do you want to talk about Even you're a girl who really likes guys who are into health and fitness, but can you talk about how girls want a guy who knows how to dress, not necessarily a guy who's big and muscly, and how if you're too muscly, it's actually a big turnoff?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure you guys have noticed that, if you get in a relationship with a girl, one of the first things she does is she wants to dress you, or she wants to, she'll say, "Oh, you can't wear that, like if you're going to be going out with me." We're quite particular with style, because we care a lot, we put a lot of effort into how we dress. So we also care how you guys look. And let me tell you, like, you guys can elevate yourselves dramatically just by the way you dress yourself, right? It's like much more than, it's a much more efficient use of time in rather than trying to get really buff and huge and strong, which is nowhere near as attractive to women as just presenting yourself really well, right? So yeah, for you guys, I'm telling you that the vast majority of all the women I know, guys who are like obsessed with their physique, and that's all they work on, and it's yeah, it's like the only thing about them that they, that's what they're trying to sell. It actually goes the opposite way. Women are like, wow, this guy has no life. He is really superficial. It's not about health at all. It's literally just about the way I present. It's like, it's so superficial. It's like, I don't know. It's like the equivalent of the woman who is wearing like a cake face full of makeup and has, I don't know, heaps of Botox and plastic surgery, and it's like, it's just way too much. It's way too much. It's completely unnecessary. It's not even functional. It's like, no one needs to look like that. In fact, it might be really hard for you to find clothes that fit you, because yeah, your just proportions are like really unnatural. So that is actually not sexy to a woman. Health is definitely sexy, and that just might mean doing some level of physical exercise, um, or doing, guys who just who work in professions where there's like a physical aspect, that's probably enough. You don't need to be doing anything more than that. And yeah, when we see a guy who presents himself really well, that is drawing our attention immediately. A guy who just, yeah, his clothes fit well, his style's great, he's sophisticated, sexy. Women are like, oh, who's that guy? Because it tells you a lot about his lifestyle, his social status, and his level of confidence as well. So yeah, guys, you're really selling yourself short if you do not know how to present yourself well in terms of style.
Thank you, Tess. That's really valuable. I hope you guys are paying attention to this. I'm the last one to not say stay healthy. I'm 55 nearly. I'm super keen on health. I've got nearly all my hair the same color. I'm a zealot for health. And beyond 40, you do need to make sure your testosterone doesn't. So there does need to be some resistance training. But if that's the main thing you're doing, then as I said, you're smoking crack. Just to get as much hate as I possibly can in one YouTube video, I'm going to quote one of my favorite philosophers, Seneca. You ready? This is going to get me some hate. Tell me I'm an absolute C word. It's a silly occupation, my dear Lucilius, and one that needs apologizing for in an educated man, to spend one's time exercising the biceps, broadening the neck and shoulders, and developing the lungs. Even when the extra feeding has produced gratifying results and you've put on a lot of muscle, you'll never match the strength or weight of a prize ox. The greater load, moreover, on the body is crushing to the spirit and renders it less active. Next, there is the heavy feeding, which dulls mental acuteness. So if your goal is to build an empire and actually do shit with your life, the last thing you ever want to do is dull your mental acuteness. So don't blame me, blame Seneca. So anyway, and he was richer than Elon Musk relatively at the time. I think he was the richest man in the world. Okie dokie. Next up this is not the Good News YouTube Live. It is the Good News YouTube Live if you actually learn a tiny bit of this stuff and actually apply it. If you don't, it's the Bad News YouTube Live. Sincerely, I think this is probably the most valuable one I've ever done for you. We've ever done for you. I apologize to my wonderful head coach, Tess. Okay. We expect, Tess, can you say that? Because it's probably going to work better than me. We
expect you to be a mind reader.
Can you read minds? I was on boat traveling around Indonesia with Russian girl of 5'11", ex-ballerina, very nice girl. And we're on a boat and we'd just been swimming and it wasn't cold at all. It's Indonesia. And our bags were directly behind me. And she looks around, looks me in the eyes and she goes, I am cold. I'm like, so anyway, this Russian girl had been training me how to be a proper man for about a week now. Just every day I get these new lessons to follow. She wakes up in the morning and I've got my curriculum. Okay, Aussie boy, very good in bed, but not so good in head. I need to fix him. He has something I like. I don't know what, but I need to fix him. So she had a curriculum of how to be a man for me every day. I should pay her a clip of the revenues from my dating coach business because I owe these women a lot. Anyway, lesson today is I am cold. No, I probably sound like Borat. I know my accents are really bad. It's either a combination of Russian, French, and Indian, or maybe just Borat all the time. Okay, quiz question. I'm on a canoe or whatever you call it, out at sea with a beautiful Russian girl, and she goes, "I am cold." What does that mean? What do I do? So I go to get her bag and get her sweater. Then I remember I've got my training. I've got my Russian girl training wheels on. Can I date stupid Aussie boy? I don't think so, but I try. I give him a shot. So I go, oh. So then instead I just pull her back in my arms, and she looks like, oh, not too bad for idiot Australian mans. And yeah, so I passed her test. I got it. So yeah, you got to learn to read minds if you want to do well with women, if you want to get them, if you want to have a happy relationship with them. So they are fucking complicated creatures, and this is what Social Coach does. We help you understand these complicated creatures. And but yeah, there's alternatives. If you don't want to do this, Elon Musk has got his Optimus Whorebot's coming soon. It's the Whorebot or the Girl Bot. Yeah, and they've got special hands that are nearly as good as human hands at doing certain things you might like girls do with their hands. I think the Japanese have already come up with the mouth. So yeah, my joke is if you're not going to learn this stuff, learn to love the taste of dick, because yeah, women can be pretty painful if you don't at least have a bit of a grasp on that. Tess, do you want to talk any more about proper man lessons I get from the Russian woman?
No, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure you guys have all experienced this as well, where women, she hasn't explicitly told you what she's thinking or what she expects of you, but she's like, you can tell there's something wrong or that there's something you haven't picked up on, right? And she's like maybe acting a bit cold, or you can see she's frustrated because you haven't picked up on it, right? So this is so common. And this is because we're always thinking like 5 steps ahead. I'm sure you've also met like lots of women who, like, we're planners, we kind of go over every scenario in our head of like, if this happens, this is the solution. If that happens, this is the solution. And yeah, we have a lot of things going on in our minds. So we kind of expect the same of you in a way. And so, if you've like let us down in some way, or we're expecting you to have remembered something that we've told you, and you haven't, or sometimes we just want attention. Instead of being like, hey, I want attention, and just saying it, we'll start being a bit cold, or we'll say something else, like we'll speak cryptically, and not just be really direct, but we're kind of expecting you to like clue on to the fact that, hey, I want a bit of attention right now, or like you've been neglecting me, or know that you forgot to do the thing you said you were going to do, or whatever it might be. So that's just, it is very, very common.
Thank you, Tess. Well, yeah, what we might do is just quickly run you through what we've covered. Okay, 10 harsh truths about women. Older men learn too late. I should have called it Older Men Die Miserable, because they never learned. That would have been a much better headline. I screwed that one up. Number one is women will exploit you and hurt you if you let them. I'm not a woman reading that. Just like my Russian girl, 5'11s. I've had quite a lot of experience with Russian girls, and I've hired a few. Two of my number two coach is Russian, and probably one of my top 3 or 4 is Russian. And yeah, particularly one of them, and my ex-girlfriends as well, they think it's their right to basically persecute and exploit and bully weak men. So yeah, I mean, American Australian women have a bit of this. So yeah, if you're not confident, they will hurt you. The reason I'm going through this is we want your questions about this stuff. This stuff is really controversial. It's going to piss a lot of people off, but it is truth. Women are only really attracted to you if we can't fuck with you. Martin Scorsese, Robert De Niro, Sharon Stone, Casino. Watch that movie. Severely underrated Scorsese movie. And then you'll make you want to book a date with Tess as well. We love your style, not your muscles. Sorry, gym bros. Yoga is going to get you way more girls. I'm not saying it's not important. Particularly it is when you're 40s, 50s, 60s to do some resistance training, but not 3 times a week in air conditioning. It's insane. It's asinine. And don't forget what Seneca said about it. We expect you to be a mind reader. We just shared that with you. Before we move on to women are human lie detectors, we might get into some of the questions. Tess, do you want to say hello to our regulars and any new guys? And we'll do a few questions now.
Yeah, we've had a stream of comments and questions. Hey, Landon, James, Luke, Virtual, Pat, Apex. We've got Ancient Giant Lion, Almost 007, Sean Maloney. We've got Radam, Tony, Fofo, Maha. Okay, I can't say that one, but hello. Welcome, guys. Tony, a lot of new names here. So welcome, guys. It's great to have you guys interacting in the chat. We love that. Thank you so much for your support. Peter, who else? We've got James, Real Mrs. Ark. Cool. Welcome, guys. And if you're new here, if you've just jumped on, say hi in the chat. We're just about to jump in and answer some of your questions that have come through. So we'll go in order from the beginning. Landon is asking, what happens when an older man becomes too predictable and safe in a woman's eyes?
Death. Yeah. This is the worst thing ever. And this is why so many guys end up in a lot of pain. Similar to the way I opened this with a story from the great book, Madame Bovary. Yeah. We typically get the woman when she's sort of young. Maybe she's before her beauty peak or just past it. So she's still got options when we get her, and then we get her, it's good for a while, then we get focused on our career or our business or whatever, or maybe being a good dad. And then, 5, 10, 15 years go by in the marriage, and the girl ages. And maybe you've worked hard in your career and you've gone from, I don't know, earning 80 grand a year to 300 grand a year. And obviously your assets have grown massively too. And your confidence as a man has grown massively. Us men are kind of weird where we seem to get more desirable as we get over 35 and over 40 and maybe even over 50. for some of us, potentially me. So what happens is they see their value plummet, and they see your value just keep going up and up. And the more books you read, the more countries you travel to, the more relationship experience you have, the more money you make, the more hobbies you get, the more seniority you get at work, the better your business, the more and more and more desirable we get, unless we're obviously fat and wretched and disgusting and old and hunched over. So yeah, they get really angry, and they know they can't replace you. They can never get another guy like you, and it's basically game over for them. So they get really fucking nasty, really fucking nasty. And that's what happens. We get the woman, and then, you know, maybe it's good at the start. We go to some effort at the start. Then life just gets in the way. Sometimes it's being a great father. Sometimes it's stress at work. And she can often feel neglected or whatever. I mean, the other thing with women is the book, The Female Brain, which didn't help me actually get women and get them into bed or anything like that. But it really helped me understand them and empathize with them and not get so shitty with them in relationships. There's more to women than just that they go nuts once a month and bleed a bit. There's a lot more to them. They've got hormones going through their body we can't possibly even imagine. It's almost like a different creature. So yeah, they can often get very, very nasty. That's why I say it as a joke. But if you know, women are dangerous creatures. Before you drive a motor vehicle on the road and potentially injure yourself, injure other people, you've got to do training. You've got to be licensed. I mean, in today's world where we have this stupid system where our primary partner, where we're off in our big house in the suburbs or our apartment high up in the city, where our primary partner is such a huge part of our life, you really need to get your license before you actually start interacting with women, particularly with a family court, family law situation in most of the Western countries. I mean, it is hell. It is hell on earth. It's like there's a concentration camp for men out there. Sorry, I don't mean to offend any people, but yeah, guys with a bit of cash who've been through the family court system, certainly in California, New York, Australia, Canada, England. I'm not an expert on Western Europe, but I imagine it's pretty grim there, particularly Sweden, Norway. I don't know if it's much better than I shouldn't say this stuff on YouTube, I'll get in trouble. But yeah, it is hell. I mean, I've had guys they're ready to hang themselves. So yeah, it's just hell. Sorry, that's very negative. So you've just got to learn it, and you've always got to be seducing the girl. You've always got to be passing her test. It doesn't matter whether she's 26 or 56 or 86. Unfortunately, it doesn't get easier. So as I say, learn to love to suck a dick, and life gets a lot easier. I don't know that. I've never been a gay guy. I'm sure they've got their dramas and battles too. But as a great Aussie comedian says, the happiest couples are the gay guys. No, the unhappiest couples are the lesbians. You know why? Because there's two women involved. Next up, we have the heteros. They're moderately unhappy, but not as unhappy as the lesbos. Do you know why? Because there's going to be one woman involved. But do you know who the happiest couples of all are? It's those gay fellows. We may laugh at them and look down at them, some of us old school whatever guys, but they're a lot happier than us. Do you know why? Because there's just one woman involved in that relationship. This is a complete poor plagiarization of Jim Jeffries. Go check out his comedy if you want more laughs like that. But I'm a Doug Stanhope man through and through, the greatest, the Michael Jordan of comedians. Next question, Tess.
Yeah, sure. Question from Virtual, which is, why do women often lose respect for men who are overly available and accommodating? It's quite similar to the last question.
I think there's differences. One's sort of being a bit sucky-uppy and too easy to control. Yeah, women don't like pushovers. And the nice guy thing, I open with a story of Madame Bovary, which may resonate with a bunch of you guys. Yeah, if you're just a nice guy all the time and you're always sucking up to her, you're always fixing this, you're always available for her, you're no longer a challenge anymore. If you sort of, you would sit and eat her pussy so ferociously, you start choking, you're going at it so hard, trying to please her. If you become that guy, she's just like, this guy's a wuss. I can do anything I want to him. I can walk all over him. I've just got no attraction for him. So yeah, you can't be that guy. I mean, you got to have boundaries. That's part of it. But as I said, you got to read signals, understand female psychology, and pass women's tests. Yeah. If women feel like they can control you, if they feel like they don't need to do anything other than show up and suck your dick once a month to have you invested in a relationship, then they lose respect very, very quickly. Now, you can get all shitty with women for this, but the problem is there's a massive power imbalance in the relationship. You're fucking clueless about women and they have the skills to manipulate and control you. So just like countries, you know, the US, whatever, it's done to poorer countries. Just look at Latin American countries or any country, and you can say, oh, we're just pointing fingers about Americans. Bullshit. Our prime minister was invading Iraq and Afghanistan long before George Bush was, the Australian Prime Minister John Howard, and the English are just the same. Tony Blair was just the same. So I'm definitely not pointing fingers at the Americans by any stretch. So yeah, where there's imbalances of power, humans, indeed animals and mammals, tend to take advantage of them. Tess, do you want to add anything to why women lose respect for men who are overly available and accommodating?
Yeah, guys, you're just devaluing yourself, basically. Again, I spoke about this earlier, but the more we kind of have to fight for something, the more it feels like it's more valuable. It's like, oh yes, I actually had to do something to attain this, right? But if you're just always at her beck and call, or you just submit to her, roll over on your back every time there's a disagreement or whatever, you become pathetic. You become completely pathetic. So it's kind of just, you're kind of conditioning her to start acting that way, to lose respect for you. And this is often when women also become toxic, right? So you've got to think about what your actions are and how that's actually causing a woman how it's causing the woman to respond to you. So don't be pathetic, basically.
I get a whole bunch of guys on my boot camps, and before they get in the boot camp, we ask them to fill out a pretty comprehensive questionnaire of their lifetime. And I mean, some of the shit I read could make you cry. The hell guys have been through in relationships. And a percentage of these, with the way the world is today, they've gone pretty red pill, that they think all women are just nasty, horrible, vindictive, disgusting creatures. And I'm just like, but then you actually see them interact with the girls. You understand how little they understand about women, even though they might be worth 10 or 20 or 50 million or whatever, or they've just got a really good job somewhere, but they're really down on women. They're really bitter about women. But it's like, if I was a woman who actually got this guy because he was, the most financially viable guy she could get before she sort of went too far over her beauty peak or couldn't have kids, and then he just hid at work because he was scared of her and she was a bitch, then you can understand why women just get so shitty. And again, you got to remember, we age like fine wine. Women are not quite so lucky. See, Tess, I did a better job that time. I didn't say something about fish in the backseat of a car.
Yes.
For anyone who saw one of my big faux pas a while back, I didn't repeat that. Tess is proud of me. I'm becoming PC and woke. So yeah, next question, unless you want to add something to that.
No, I was worried that you were just about to repeat it. But let's move on.
I kind of like that one, but the women didn't.
Okay, almost 007 says, James, what is your protocol when a woman flakes, and how do you differentiate a woman flaking because it's a test versus when it's because she's not interested?
Dude, that's an insanely good question. Thank you. Okay, I'm probably much better than average at knowing whether it's a test. The more beautiful she is, the more high value she is, the more she likes me, the more likely it is to be a test. So my protocol, and this has happened to me dozens of times, particularly with a girl who has a very high opinion of herself, a model, or a rich girl, what's that in my hair? Or a rich girl from a wealthy family or something, rich, beautiful girl from a wealthy family. I've been stood up many times on a first date by a girl who meets that rough description. And so what I'd usually do is, when in my little promiscuous period in my 30s, I would literally, if the girl was beyond, whatever, a 9.5 out of 10 or whatever rating it was, I'm just making that number up, I'd pretty much assume she wasn't going to show. And I'd be surprised if she did. And I'd sort of work my way. I'd sort of have contingency plans. If she actually shows, I can show up. If she doesn't, I'm just going to do this thing. She doesn't steal a night of my life. And then what would happen is I'd just wait for I ran out of shampoo, so I can't see you tonight. Or my dog looks lonely, so I'm going to stay with her and keep her company. If it's my cat looks lonely, you might be lucky that you're not getting to date her. And then what I do is I just go, okay, cool, no worries. Or, oh, that's a shame, no worries. And then I would ghost them for whatever, a week, 5 days, 3 days, at least a weekend. And I go, hey, Janet, did you see that thing? Just reference something we're talking about. And then what will happen later is red. And she'll just jump and out. Oh, he knew it was a test. He's one of the guys who gets it. He's going to be good in bed. And then she's usually just flies into bed because I actually knew it was a test. What if I have a date plan? I'm confident, etc., etc. So that often happens. The other thing, there's a fantastic video on our YouTube channel, seriously good video called What to Do When the Girl Flakes. Jackie does an excellent job. Women will flake because they're having a bad hair day. I'm having a bad hair day today. I've gone to Gold Coast and there's too much fluoride and chlorine in the water, and my cheap natural shampoo doesn't work very well. Anyway, this is what happens when you're around models and hot girls so long. You start acting like one. Haven't I become pathetic? So what was I say? Yeah, a girl can flake because she's having a bad hair day. She could flake because she feels fat or bloated. She could flake because she's on her period. There's so many reasons she could flake on you that you just don't know. And not all women, but most women are up and down emotional like we really can't imagine. And the truth is, some of the girls who hide their emotional roller coaster the most, they're the ones who blow up when they finally show you their true colors, which has happened to me in spectacular fashion one time. Tess, do you want to add anything more to girls flaking? Don't watch it now, but that video with Jackie is an excellent resource. Seriously, guys, this is probably, in terms of transforming your life with women, Tess made the best comment of her dating coach career, whereby someone said, what's the number one thing you need to do to get better with women? And I said, ask open-ended questions and listen so you can connect with the girls. Don't just fucking talk about yourself and how much money you got and how big your bench press was. And Tess said, she basically said I was wrong. She goes, no, it's understanding female psychology. And I went, you're right. I'm wrong. You did better than me. I'm jealous. But yeah, Tess was right, because what I said is 100% right. It's the number one thing in terms of the actual technique. But in terms of the overall success, it's actually the open-ended questions, the women's tests, the date plan, the style, even the sexual skills. They all sit around, they sort of all things, I'm not very good at this, they all sort of sit in the basket of, it's all surrounded by the understanding of female psychology that lets you use these tools, okay? So meet, attract, connect, seduce, which I should talk about more. These steps in the seduction, they all need to have the backdrop of female psychology for you to use them effectively, if that makes sense. It's like, I don't know, what's an example? You go into a physics exam and you just memorize the formulas, but you don't actually understand the core first principles behind what you're doing. I mean, something that's slightly out of kilter, you're just going to fail. So if they throw anything curly at you, you're just going to fail because you don't actually understand the core principles of what you're doing. And yeah, when I look on YouTube, there are probably people doing it, but so much of it's just these little techniques that are supposedly going to work. And they might work sometimes, but you need to understand. The other thing is, anyway, I'm crapping on a bit much. The way a really hot girl at 22 behaves is completely different to the way she behaves at 30, at 28, and 34 and 40. So you've got to understand the female psychology around it. Otherwise, you're just sort of playing darts with a blindfold on after someone spun you around, which is what most men do with women. Tess, do you want to add to that?
Flaking. Flaking. Yeah, again, like women can be quite flaky, especially if it's like early dating and she doesn't feel like she owes you anything necessarily. It's like what state of mind is she in? And yes, we are, we have our monthly cycles, which our hormones change a lot. It's difficult to navigate, so that can be one thing. But also, like, if we really, really like you and we want to impress you, if we've got like a little pimple, or we're feeling a bit bloated because we're like, it's that time of the month, or whatever, we're just like tired, then we might just be like, oh, actually, I don't want to go on this date because I'm not going to be feeling my best to be impressive. So, we get nervous too, and we put a lot of effort into dating as well. So, we might flake because we're just not feeling super confident. So don't ever think that flaking is always about her not being interested. And sometimes it's not a test either. Sometimes it might just be because she's not feeling up to it. So the best way to respond to that is just to be indifferent and casual about it. And like James says, if you do like a follow-up later that's also just casual, and you're not like you're not making too big a deal about it, because it's like, if you're a guy who's like, oh yeah, cool, whatever, I've also got 100 other things I could be doing right now, so I'm going to do one of those other 100 things, that makes you a cool guy, right? Whereas if you're like, oh god, she doesn't like me, I don't know what to do, and then you get all desperate and weird, that's probably going to push her away. Or if you just become really cold and jaded because she flaked on you once, then she's going to be like, okay, this guy's an asshole. So yeah, just be cool.
You stood me up when I was busy, you B-I-T-C-H. I mean, that's what a lot of guys do. They just fly off the handle, and so often it's a game and test. It gets back to women's tests. So much of what women does is they're just throwing this thing out there just to see how you respond to it. And I mean, most guys have no clue. That's why when you get a certain level of understanding of female psychology in women's games, it just becomes so easy. It's just so easy. Okay, my little buttons. Next question, please.
Yes. Okay, a question from Virtual. How do high value women actually decide between multiple men who are interested in them?
In terms of the guy they actually want, it's going to be the guy who understands women the most in almost all cases. And the way they decide that is by women's tests, by throwing little snippets out there and seeing how he handles it. Other things, that's an excellent question, Vitor. You might be winner of the all-time question. There's a Luke guy is very good as well. Both finance guys, funnily enough. The other guy was a CFO. The other thing is, this is huge. You guys, I mean, you guys are all on YouTube going, women just want guys who are tall, rich, and handsome. And that's definitely a lot of truth in it. But there's things they want a lot more than that. My way to explain that to you is if you go down the local suburban bar in quite an affluent area, and in the audience listening to 80s cover songs, I don't know, they're doing Eagles, or I don't even know, Michael Jackson or AC/DC, they're doing covers of great songs from the 80s and 90s, been Nirvana. And in the audience, there's a plastic surgeon, there's a hedge fund guy, there's a private equity guy. There might be a $50 million business owner, founder. Who do all the girls want to date? The lead singer of the guy who's doing his best Kurt Cobain Nirvana impersonation, or the guy to the right of him playing bass guitar. That's who the girls want to date. So women, and I've heard Dr. David Buss, Dr. Jordan Peterson, and other people talk about this. Women are absolutely incredible at feeling, sensing where energy in a room is going. And that's one of my big secrets. And one of the things as soon as we get you trained up with Zoom calls on Test, and we go through your style and we give you a date plan. We do teach cold approach pickup because that's a core building block of this, but we're really about social engineering, not just cold approach pickup. So we're going to put you in situations where you control the situation to get a lot of the energy in the room, and you'll be astounded by how women just throw themselves at you. I think this is going to add a huge amount of value to you guys. I was pathetically skinny. I had a big nose. I was hunched over. I was severely bullied at home. So the bullies at school could tell by my hunched over and my meekness that I was going to be easy to bully. Even though I was really freaking good at sport, I still got bullied. It does my head in. If my dad had taken me to boxing classes, even though I was much smaller than them, I'd have beaten the living crap out of these bullies. But anyway, I got bullied because I was so vulnerable. So, and then primary school, high school, it's like, oh, when I get into high school, I'll get a girlfriend. When I get into year 9, I'll get a girlfriend. When I get into year 11, I'll get a girlfriend. When I graduate high school, I'll get a girlfriend. When I get to my first year of university, I'll get a girlfriend. When I get a job paying like that, when I get a job paying $100,000 a year, I get a girlfriend. None of it happened. And this goes back to the 90s, where $100,000 is a lot of money, and I got that pretty quickly. But anyway, I went on the school orientation camp, and there was a girl there. There were 2 girls there. One of them wasn't that attractive, but she was the girlfriend of a close friend of mine. He couldn't make it to the orientation camp for whatever reason. And then she had one of her friends there from my school who was probably the second hottest girl, or maybe the hottest girl, maybe not the hottest face, but the hottest body out of a group of 80 or 90 women. I think the orientation had about 150 people. And what happened on the orientation camp was this guy who really knew, he was really good with women for a 17 or 18-year-old. He comes up and makes friends with me. And I was like, oh, cool. He's a cool guy. And we did generally have stuff in common. So he makes friends with me. But can you guess why he was making friends with me? Because he wanted to fuck Kylie. And he ended up fucking Kylie and her sister. And the joke was he was going to start on the mum and the dog and the cat after that, and maybe even the dad. So yeah, he used me. We ended up becoming friends after he'd finished with Kylie and her sister. But yeah, he used me to get Kylie into bed, which he did very successfully. Good on you, Jeff. He was teaching me all these lessons about women, but I was too fucking blind to see, even though I was this aspiring smart finance guy. So anyway, so the orientation camp starts. A lot of people don't know anyone. So I'm hanging out with Jeff and Kylie, and there's another couple of other people, and I was really good at volleyball, so I was probably the best athlete there. So anyway, no girls ever looked at me, and like the first or second hottest girl there, she comes up and she kisses me, and then we have this little 2 or 3 day fling, which was my first kiss, my first hand job. And then she dumps my sorry ass because I was the most clueless guy with women. She touched my dick, and I think it was about 1.3 seconds before I blew me load in her hand, because I'd never had a woman touch my dick before. I'd fantasized that about that probably 1,000 nights in a row, even pretended it was my own hand, but it never actually happened before. So yeah, I think my first hand job lasted about 1.5 seconds at the most. Anyway, and she used my fucking rugby jumper to clean it up, which I don't know, that was very expensive for a poor boy like me. Anyway, the point is, a girl comes out of the blue who's hot, who suddenly picks me up. Why did she do that? Is it because I dressed better? No. Is it because I wasn't as dorky? No. Is it because I was one of the hottest guys there? No way, no how, not a chance. And there was some seriously cool dudes there. But she came after me because I hung out a lot with Jeff, one of the hottest guys, and Kylie, arguably the hottest girl. And yet that's the way women work. And you think all they want is tall, rich, and handsome. You're completely wrong. That is on their list, but it's so far down. So I've given you, thanks to Vichora's question, a masterclass in social engineering. Now, that was just all pure fluke. Now what I do, and this is what gets me insane results with women and gets my best clients insane results with women, is I engineer what happened with Jeff and Kylie everywhere I go. And it's not even my conversation or my listening skills. It's this stuff. I engineer women wanting me. I'm not chasing around the local shopping center or street, just hunting random women down, telling them they're cute. I'm engineering situations so that I'm the guy getting all the energy, just like Dr. David Buss and Dr. Jordan Peterson say. Tess, do you want to add anything to that? I think you got the story about the guy who knew everyone in Bondi Beach. For you Americans and English watching, if you haven't heard of Bondi Beach, it's probably the most iconic suburb in Australia. I don't know if it's like Upper East Side or Beverly Hills. It's not that rich. It's well off, but it's just this iconic beach. There's a famous TV show about it, and a huge amount of Australian celebrities live there. And Australian celebrities, a bit of a, is that a tautology or something, or an oxymoron? I can't remember which word it is. But yeah, up until the recent massive property boom, you had a lot of hot girls living there. Now most hot girls there are like, I got to work on my duck face. Tess, do you want to add anything more to this?
Yeah. So absolutely, like in terms of like getting early attention, social engineering, absolutely, hands down. That's like, I completely agree. Where the energy goes, that's where all the energy is going. That's where women are focused on. And if you're able to social engineer within any setting, women will be coming up to you. Like, you won't even have to approach them; they'll approach you. So that is absolutely key. As far as like deciding between multiple men who are interested in them already, who they might have like been dating, etc., like how would they decide? I would say it would really come down to, at that stage, like sexual chemistry, right? So and authentic connection. So it's like, how much do I actually feel like I have in common with this person? How much do I actually feel sexually attracted to this person? So that's a lot to do with body language, eye contact, escalation, all the stuff we teach. And also hacking female psychology as well, with a lot of the stuff we're talking about tonight.
Cool. Do you want to do one more question before we get back to the next point?
Yes, a question from Landon. How much does a woman's attraction actually depend on how she feels in the moment versus long-term compatibility?
Excellent question, Landon. Tess, can you look to see any new guys that we might welcome? And if they've got any questions, we might just ask one of the new guys questions so they don't feel neglected.
Yeah, cool.
People. I saw one or two great questions from some new people, so thank you for that. How much does a woman's, for anyone who's joined, if you can, we're well over 12,000. You guys spent, I don't even know, it's about 3,500 hours watching our last YouTube live. Thank you so much for the guys who've been commenting. That's a huge thing. I think 120 of you shared the last one. And so that's really helping YouTube recognize us. Hopefully you guys who are hanging around can see the value we're providing. We're not YouTubers. You can tell how much I fucked the startup. I'm not very good at YouTube, but Tess and I and Natalia and Jackie and Nevena, we are extraordinary dating coaches. We've been doing this 40 years. So if you could subscribe, ring that bell. That's really, really, really important. Save it and ask questions when it goes live. Just share it. Share it with your dog, your personal trainer, your therapist, your lawnmower man, whoever. Just share it. And yeah, we can start doing longs and shorts, and I can do infield. We can really help you once we get a wee bit more attention. I think it was 93.6% of you haven't even subscribed. So if you do us that favor, we'd love you. Tess, if you could just find a couple of new guys' questions. How much does a woman's attraction actually depend on how she feels in the moment versus long-term compatibility? Also, the more you guys help us, the sooner we're going to have this big community based around these YouTube lives in the States and Europe, which will be amazing for your results. Attraction depends how much she feels at the moment versus long-term compatibility. That's another excellent question. We're going to start giving prizes. I don't understand exactly when, but I think when a woman is fertile, she wants the big, high testosterone, big, thick, strong beard, alpha male. She wants the full-on alpha male, possibly a guy she can't get. Possibly she's with a plastic surgeon or a hedge fund guy, and she's much, much more attracted to the personal trainer that day, even though he's going to be a shitty provider compared to her man. So, because she wants to be impregnated by the best seed she can get. Then other days when she's not ovulating, you need to Google or AI this. She's much more attracted to more of a beta male guy. So what women actually want differs from day to day. And yeah, when she feels down or she doesn't feel very confident about herself, which happens to the hottest girls, I can tell you, it can really screw things up. I'm not sure if women or men are very good at choosing based upon long-term compatibility. I'm going to get in a lot of trouble here. I don't know if most women have some of them have it, but they don't use it. They don't have the rational intelligence to override their emotions to actually make a proper assessment of who's going to be the most long-term compatible. They'll either go for the guy they're really attracted to, or they'll go for the guy who's going to be the easiest to control and the best provider. And that will vary, like whatever, at 28, they want the alpha male, or 25, before that, they want the alpha male. After that, they want the guy who's, kind of okay, but they know they can control him and keep him under their thumb. So it's going to depend massively. So yeah, as I shared, I think men and women are extremely stupid when it comes to dating. And I think that's an intentional thing that's been constructed into our society for the benefit of capitalism. Divide and conquer the sexes, and you've pretty much got us. Tess, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I was going to say as well, I think this is like kind of stage of life dependent. Women who are younger, definitely in the moment, they're going with what feels good in the moment. Long-term compatibility would come more into play definitely around the age that women are like thinking of, in their childbearing years, or thinking about family, that sort of thing, etc. They'd be thinking about that more. But, even in saying that, I think that a lot of women, it's the classic, women who they're attracted to the bad boy, not the nice guy. And yeah, the nice guy might be the guy who there's long-term compatibility with, but is it hot? Is it sexy? Is there attraction? No, there isn't. It's boring. It's like no one wants to. Yeah, it's not gonna get her hot and steamy and thinking about you when you're just like her best friend, right? So yeah, I think how she feels in the moment plays a big part. Yeah.
Fantastic. You have to excuse me, there's bloody roadworks behind me. Hopefully you can't hear it. Next question, Tess.
Yeah, so we have a question here from Tony. Oh, sorry, a comment. Women know that men only want one thing from them. They use this input from men to use them to their advantage, like as if men are puppies.
That's fairly true. One of my best female coaches, she divides the guys she dates into puppies and men. She talked about it at one of my recent events. She goes, Valeria, no, he puppy dog, but good taste in Chanel handbag. No, he kickboxer man. He proper man, but no Chanel. No Chanel from Johnny. Just testosterone. So yeah, they definitely do. Again, I definitely want to go red pill, because men do awful things to women too. We do really awful things. Like you get hardworking guys who marry their childhood sweetheart. She gives up her career even though she's really bright too. Does an amazing job of raising a family for you. And as soon as your income hits whatever, $250,000 or $500,000 or something, you get some assistant, some crappy, whatever, unsophisticated assistant who gets a good set of tits and whatever, seduces you, and then you break your wife's heart for some piece of shit. And often you'll leave your wife for this piece of shit. So yeah, men can be horrible, and obviously there's the issue of hitting men. But yeah, women use their social advantage to control and manipulate and bully men, and women use our physical advantage and threat of our physical advantage to control and manipulate and bully women. But at this stage, I'm not a women's dating coach, so I'm supporting the men. But it doesn't mean I don't see the woman's point of view. Imagine being a girl and you can't sleep in summer with your window open because, you know, you could get raped. There's a whole bunch of shit that women have to deal with that we can't even fathom. Or just walking down the street, and particularly if you don't live in a very safe suburb, and you go, oh, okay, well, am I going to get raped today? And in certain parts of the world, that worry is a lot worse than it was 30 years ago, especially some of you Nordic countries and pretty much everywhere now. Next question.
Yeah, so a question from Almost 007. When a woman ghosts after your date request via text, is following up ever worth it, or is it best to just move on?
Absolutely, you follow up, but you don't do it like a loser and text her the next day, go, what happened, Dorothy? I was sitting waiting at the restaurant for an hour with you, and I wore my best suit, and I even washed my car, and I bought you $150 worth of flowers and got the best table I could get. You don't do that. You're just like, oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Your cat was feeling a bit down, so you had to sit and keep your cat company and you couldn't date me. You don't even buy into it. You're just like, oh, okay. Oh, that's a shame. Or, okay, no worries. And then some period of time later, you text her back and you don't ask her out. That's a mistake I make a lot. I use text to arrange things. You got to reconnect a bit. You might, oh, I mean, let me think of a girl. I mean, I met a girl who was an architect. I might just send her something about architecture. Go, oh, how do you build this house for me? So you'll send something contextual, and then you'll just see, and you'll start chatting. And the thing about women, I'm telling you lots of stories tonight. These are the most valuable things I give you. I was on a date with a guy, sort of seeing a few girls at one time. And I was out with one of them, and she was great. She wasn't my wife, but she was wonderful company and whatever. As far as a part-time girlfriend goes, she was like a 9.5 out of 10. She was really smart and she was wonderful. But yeah, I can't remember what happened. I think I got back from the toilet or something, and she's like this, and then her phone goes off while I'm talking to her. She's like, oh. And I'm getting annoyed because, you know, I'm taking my time to be with her. I go, who's that? She goes, oh, just some guy. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I wasn't really jealous. I wasn't really worried. If you understand women's tests and you're good in bed and you've already slept with a bunch of girls, you don't really get jealousy, which is the number one test they pull. And she looks at me, and I'm like a bit frustrated. She's wasting my time. And she goes, oh, just some guy. I said, do you like him? She goes, no. She wasn't lying. She didn't. She goes, no, he's okay. No. I go, well, what are you texting him back and forth for? She goes, oh, I don't know. It's just fun. I'm like, what? You spend your time texting this dude's back and forth for no reason. You've got zero intention of meeting up with him. You're here with me, who you had sex with last night, you're probably going to have sex with tonight, but you'd rather text this random guy who you're never going to see again. That's not very fair on him, and it's not very fair on me. She goes, yeah, but it's just fun. So you guys who've reckon you got this system, that's a good Aussie word for you Americans in English. You guys who reckon you got this whiz-bang system to get girls off dating apps, I mean, they've died horribly since 2016. But yeah, I think there was studies done where I think 1% to 2% of girls used dating apps for hookups, and like 70% of them used it for entertainment. This guy likes me. 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 So yeah, I mean, it's just like another soap opera for them. Oftentimes, particularly the hottest women, they'll flake on you just to see how you handle it. And other women might flake on you because they've got one giant fucking bursting zit that they don't want you to see. Other women, they're I was going to say the C word waxing dude, but that might have not worked out too well. The vaginal grooming person was away today, so she doesn't want to go full 70s bush on her first date just in case it gets a bit hot and bothered. So yeah, women flake. It's just part of the game. As I said, Jackie and I did a great video about that. And if you like, subscribe, and ring the bell and whatever, share it. We'll do a lot more of these for you. Might even see if I can get the good old Jackie back as well as Tess. Next question. We'll do one more, then we'll move on to the next point.
Yes. Sorry, I was a little bit unprepared here.
That's okay. While Tess is, you put the next question up, Tess. If we're able to just take these questions at random from people we've never heard of, and just answer them off the top of our head, both Tess and I don't mean to be big-headed, but if you look at a lot of people who've got huge followings on YouTube, a lot of them are just reading scripts off teleprompters, or it's all pre-rehearsed, tight 15-minute videos. We sort of rehearse the first 2 or 3 minutes because we've got to get you guys watching to get you guys to watch the rest of it. So we're rehearsing, a few minutes. There's no doubt about that. But the rest of it is just Tess and I just crapping on in response to your questions. So yeah, I would suggest that if I was in your shoes, that would be evidence that we're pretty fucking good coaches. And I know this is a metric I use whenever I'm selecting someone. If someone can just answer a bunch of random questions, no problem at all, they're much more capable. This is a quick thing. I went to see one of the greatest fund managers in Australian history, a guy by the name of Greg Perry. And this guy was the worst public speaker in the history of the world. He was so bad. He probably shat his pants. He was drooling. He was fumbling. There was tears in his eyes. He got put in front of a bunch of clients whose money he was managing for my boss and a few other advisors. And you were just dying inside at how bad this guy did. And then they cut the thing after about 25 minutes. The guy was about to kill himself. He was a genius, like Peter Lynch of Australia or someone like that, maybe a Warren Buffett of Australia. And then they start asking him questions, and he asks one or two. Then his confidence suddenly comes out. Then he asks questions for the next 2 answers questions from these kind of wealthy people for the next 2 hours. And then I don't know how much money he took into his funds that night, but it might have been 50 million or 100 million. And this is back in the 90s when that was a shitload of money. But the guy was just the worst public speaker of all time. But no one in the world doubted this guy was a complete and utter expert at what he did. I wish they'd recorded it so I could have watched it 10 times. I wish I brought my tape recorder where I get the assistants to dictate stuff I say. How the world's changed since 1995, hasn't it, fellas? Tess and James, you say muscles are a waste of time. I didn't say they're a waste of time. I said they're nowhere near the first thing you should be looking at. And going to the gym 3 or 4 times a week in air conditioning, breathing in people's aftershave and perfume and whatever other crap's in the air conditioner that's recycled through and through and through because they're not sucking air in from outside. You're just breathing the same air again, probably killing yourself more than helping yourself. Particularly if you're on a jogging machine. I teach health in one of my courses as well, and a lot of it is not what you expect. Muscles are a waste of time, but what are your thoughts on the current Looksmaxing craze, including, I can't pronounce his name. I've seen him on social media. I don't even know who he is. I think it's just more repression of men. They're turning men into women. It's like what they did with whatever it is, Cosmo and all these women's magazines, probably from before the 70s, the 60s. They're just doing that to men today. You got to be good looking to get women. Bullshit. Go to Russia. What use is handsome in man? What do I need beautiful mans for? I need a man. I need a man. A man in there to protect me. Fuck me properly. So yeah, I mean, Okay, if you're in the bottom 10 or 15% of looks and you're like, you know, there's something really wrong, then there's probably some value in this. But if you've got an okay job and career and you're not, you know, really down the ladder in terms of disadvantaged looks wise, I'm not going to dismiss something I've got limited advice about. I did see a video from some guy saying that people who have slightly weak jawlines, mine could be improved, will often have duck feet. So some of this looks maxing stuff might be really, really good. But to me, this was more health maxing. This was as much health maxing as looks maxing. So I watched that video. I said that was really valuable stuff. But that's more about long-term health because my feet stick out too much, which is probably a side effect of me being bullied, where I hunched over, my hips pushed forward in a little S shape. When I see all these pictures of me public speaking, my body's this pathetic S shape because I'm trying to be smaller so I don't get bullied. So yeah, I don't know enough about these people to comment, but I think guys who are investing a lot of time in this thinking it's going to get them an ROI with women are kidding themselves. If you're in the bottom 10 or 20%, that may not be so true. Tess, do you want to add anything to that? Do you have a range of boyfriends? I know you've dated at least one male model. Have you ever dated a guy who's like not that attractive? I know Jackie's dated some real sort of horrors who she really liked. Horrors an exaggeration, but way below average, even guys shorter than her, but she really liked them for whatever reason.
Yeah. No, I've dated a whole a different selection of different guys, different countries, different levels of attractiveness for sure. And I can tell you, I have dated a couple of male models and it was painful. Painful having a guy who was more obsessed with how he looked and took more time to get ready before we went out anywhere, and was like so obsessed with themselves that we'd be walking down the street and like I'd be talking to them and he'd just be like looking at his reflection in like the side of buildings and stuff. It's just, yeah, it was not sexy. Guys, yeah, it's really interesting. Like what one of the my co-trainers said, she is Russian, but she's a model as well. She says women are supposed to be beautiful. Men are supposed to be slightly more beautiful than monkeys. And that's what her mum told her. And it was funny because obviously that's quite extreme, but what do we want men for in our lives? It's not to be looking pretty. It's to be like, yeah, like, okay, we care about how you dress yourself and present yourself, but no, like the vast majority of women I know are interested in men who are like, have a bit of ruggedness to them. Like we like men with, yeah, a bit of facial hair, like a little bit unkept, guys who don't care too much about what other people think of them, but just, also know how to present themselves like to a decent level. It's not, we don't care. Like it's not about how beautiful your face is or your physique. That's nowhere near at the top of the list. So, like obviously, being physically attractive, that's one thing, but if that's all you have, it is meaningless. It is completely meaningless. It's so superficial. Like women might be like, oh, that guy's kind of hot. And then you start talking to him and he's like talking about his obsession over the way he looks. And she's like, okay, run away, run away. It's just, looks maxing. It's like James said, there are certain things about it which like, okay, cool, yeah, that might increase the amount of attention you're getting, but if that's all you're focused on and you have no substance and you have no skill with women, that's not going to get you very far at all. Like not at all, especially when you're taking it to the extreme, like people like Clavicular who just spending way too much money and effort and time on doing crazy drastic measures to change their appearance, which is probably going to decrease his lifespan at the end of the day, which is, it's just, it just doesn't make any sense. It's crazy.
He's probably a better YouTuber than me, though. I could learn some of his YouTube tricks if he's that big and famous. Like anyone like Andrew Tate or this guy who became household names very quickly. I could probably learn a thing or two from them. What was I going to say? Anyway, the thought left my mind. We'll get back to the next point. Thank you so much for all the questions, guys. That's one of the reasons YouTube supporting us more. When you guys ask questions when the video goes live, that's one of the biggest things YouTube pays attention to. So you got to love that. Bit of life advice for you guys when you're in Indonesia. Don't give your jeans to the people to wash for you, because they tend to save some money and they put it in the dryer too long. I'm kind of having a bit too much pressure in the crown jewels, because they really screwed my jeans up when I got them washed in Malaysia, and I've only got one pair of jeans with me at the moment, so I'm in a wee bit of distress at the moment. Just bear with me. I might start doing the Michael Jackson voice. And I just washed the tracksuit pants today, so I didn't want to wear the trucky dacks. Sound like an Aussie. I don't want to wear the trucky dacks on YouTube, just in case I get up. So yeah, they're okay when I'm standing, but when I'm sitting, yeah, there's a wee bit much pressure on the crown jewels. And given I haven't had kids too so far, I got to protect them. So if you see me if you see me sort of moving around on my chair, it's just yeah, it's got to make some adjustments. Sorry about this. We might just let Tess take over. Okay, I promise the next point.
Maybe you can pop a button, James. No one can see below the waist, so we don't just relieve yourself. That might help.
I've got the zip undone, but it's not really helping. I need stupid fucking woman. I was so pissed off. I did a Google review about it. She ruined like so much of my clothes. I got to go shopping again, which I hate. Anyway, yeah, just some tips for you guys traveling in Southeast Asia or Latin America. They want to wash as much as they can, and they don't care about you. Okay, next one, human lie detectors. Yeah, this might be the most important thing you need to know about women. One of the first things I tell clients, which differentiates me from a lot of other dating coaches, is you just can't lie to them. They're human. Where's my notes? You just can't lie to them. You cannot fucking lie to them. Okay, I usually start with a story. By the way, the most valuable thing you'll get out of these YouTube lives is when I answer your questions and when Tess and I tell you stories. Whatever points I give you, they're almost just noise. It's the stories, because who watched my last YouTube live? Who can tell me 5 of the points I covered last time? Probably none of you. You need to review it, but I bet many of you can remember some of my stories. And I hear so often, like every time I go on a boot camp, it's like, oh, you told this story and I did this thing in that situation that completely changed the outcome. So yeah, I had a friend who lives in the most expensive street in Australia. It's Wolseley Road, Point Piper. I guess it's like 5th Avenue, or I don't know, whatever, some road in Beverly Hills. He lied about his age when he was 46 to a woman, I think in her late 20s. She was 28 or 29. He didn't need to fucking lie, the stupid idiot. He took her on 3 holidays, 2 or 3 months in length. I think one of them might have even been 4 months. He took her, she got to travel around Europe, 5-star on his expense. She got to travel around Africa, 5-star on his expense. And I think the other place was South America. They slept in the same bed every night. Can you guess how many times she had sex with him? 0. Not once. And this guy was 6'2". He had one of the best bodies I've ever seen on a man his age, possibly because he'd had stem cells and he might have even had some surgery. I'm not really sure what the hell was going on, but he had a body like most 26-year-olds would kill for. It was an insanely good body. He was a really good kite surfer. You know, in many ways he ticked a lot of boxes, but unfortunately he was very, very insecure. And also he was stockbroker finance. He also directed plays, and he had great taste in movies and literature. I mean, this guy was a catch, but he was insecure, and he thought at 46 he needed to lie to a 28-year-old to date her because he's a numbnut. Might be another Aussie term. So anyway, eventually I convinced him to do one of my boot camps. He's one of the worst students I've ever had because he was so distraught when he was doing it because this girl was literally tearing him to pieces. And he asked my female coaches, Tess, is it normal to go on a 3-month holiday through Europe with a girl and we sleep in the bed every single night? I pay for 5-star hotels and 5-star meals and first-class travel, and she never sleeps with me because she says she's a bit religious. Is that normal? Can't remember. She might have said she had an abusive boyfriend before. She had some cover story why she was never going to sleep with him. Is that normal, Tess? If I spent like $80,000 or $100,000 on a 3-month holiday with you, first class airfares, probably a hell of a lot more than that. Do you think you'd sleep with me once?
Well, it's
I got a Chanel handbag as well. Anyway, you get the picture. This is how pathetic some of you guys are. And you rich ones are the most pathetic of all. I know because I've been coaching you for 20 years. I was never rich because I made a very large income for a few years, but I didn't stay that long. So, yeah. Okay, the punchline. He claimed, and it could be true, that he'd slept with somewhere between 300 and 400 girls. And he was living in a house that was worth about 50 million, and he'd lived in beautiful houses for a long time. And he intentionally went out and he hunted Swedish and Brazilian roommates who were beautiful because he actually needed to get them to move into his house to have enough time to work his moves. He was really pathetic with women. I don't think I've ever seen a man. I might as well tell you the story. If you're enjoying my stories, we were sitting at a bookstore cafe together, and there was a pretty hot girl who comes in, and he starts trying to pick her up. And it turns out her daddy invented, I've got them here somewhere. Her daddy, Tess, can you fudge for a second while I do a little demonstration? Yeah. Her daddy literally fucking invented these. So her daddy was the engineer audio in charge of the people who invented the first Bose noise-canceling headphones. No bullshit. So this guy, who's a very successful finance guy, thought, okay, well, I'll use some of my PUA stuff on her. I'll give her a neg or two and, whatever, tell her her nose wiggles when she talks. I can't remember what he did exactly, but it was pathetic and gross and corny. It wasn't gross. It was just corny. And she didn't take too kindly to this, and she might have had 10 or 15 IQ points on him, given her date. If a girl grows up in Manhattan, she comes from a lot of money, and her parents are probably either celebrities or they're very rich. He should know this because he's a very well-traveled guy. And anyway, he gets sleazy, pickup artisty with her, and this girl reaches up his asshole and tears his tonsils out of his throat and disembowels him in front of a group of people. And he starts crying in the cafe. He wasn't, tears were streaming down his face. It was just the most, and I'm just sitting watching this going, oh my God, I'd never seen anyone destroyed like that before. Like if the guy who wrote the Dilbert cartoon, he completely destroyed Sam Harris one time. It was unreal. But this was 10 times worse than that. Like Trump's greatest comeback lines, it was like 25 of them stacked on top of one another. And then at the end, she flicks his nose like that when he's got tears streaming down her face, and she gets up, packs her bag and leaves. So that's the moral of the story is women are human lie detectors, and don't ever fucking lie to women. Why are they human lie detectors? It all gets back to the greatest dating coach of all time, a bloke by the name of Charlie Darwin, who traveled all around the world in the 1840s or 1850s. What's the yacht called? I should know that. Women have to have kids. They need to understand what they want. When a baby's crying, women know whether he's lonely or he's hungry or he's shat himself or herself. We got no clue. Women obviously need to negotiate life in their teens, 20s, and 30s, where they've got to get through the day without getting raped. So they're very sensitive to any sort of bad energy, any sort of bad intentions, weird body language. They've got a heightened sense of danger to us. And back in the cliched evolutionary cave or village, they're back cooking and cleaning and looking after kids and socializing and gossiping and whatever they're doing, bitching a bit, while we're out fighting, hunting, farming, building, whatever the hell we're doing. So yeah, you've got to understand women's social intelligence might be 10 times yours if you're smart, maybe more. And don't lie to them. And because, yeah, guys, oh, women test me, women play with me, women fuck with me. The whole reason I told you this story, it started off he trying to maintain that he was like 36 when the guy looked like he was 46 or 48. Too much cocaine in his big house in Point Piper, Australia. This is Fifth Avenue of Australia. Too much cocaine and partying and drugs, like all the finance guys. So yeah, the relationship started off with this long lie, and she just destroyed him. I don't know if I said this before, but the real punchline of the story is I didn't see him for about 6 to 9 months. So I saw him when he started seeing this girl. I met her briefly. Then I go, man, I just said to myself, that one is toxic. This is not going to work out well. If you ever date a girl, take her for a coffee with your mate James, and I'll give you a read, and I'll be right like 98 times out of 100. If I could have only got Brad Pitt and said, man, you don't leave that Jennifer Aniston for Angelina Jolie. I know she's hotter. I know she's a lot sexier. That's a really bad move, dude. And I did a speech, I think, which I never published because of the Me Too movement, where I warned Elon Musk in a speech, get rid of Amber Heard. Short Tesla if he stays with Amber Heard, because that woman is going to destroy him. So yeah, you want to really avoid toxic women, because this guy went from looking, whatever he went from looking about 45 to looking about 62 or 63 in the space of like 6 to 9 months. I'm not exaggerating. And his friends were talking about what the hell happened. I nearly said his name. His friends were just talking about what the hell happened to this guy. He's died. Tess, a bit more on how women are human lie detectors. I think I prepared a bit more today, simply because we got a lot more views on the last one, and there's more point of view and me giving you excellent content. Hint, hint, like, subscribe, ring the bell, share it with your psychiatrist, whatever, or your personal trainer. So yeah, I'd like feedback. Be honest, am I talking too long? I think these stories are incredibly valuable, and guys pay tens of thousands of dollars for them on my live event I'm giving away for free. But to the YouTube audience, is this useful? Just give me feedback on how to improve for you. I'm sure it'll be the negative guys who hate me who give me the most feedback. So some of you positive ones who think I'm not completely wretched, if you could possibly give me your 2 cents worth on how good this is. Over to Tess about human lie detectors.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it just comes down to our innate social IQ, which is way higher than you guys. Yeah, again, it is because we've had to be able to read danger from a young age. We have, I think, the motherly instinct kind of built into us evolutionarily. So we have to be attuned to these things. And yeah, guys, regardless of that, even if she's like has she's on the autism spectrum and can't read social cues, like, lies will always come back to bite you later, because it is so hard to keep up a lie. Like, every lie takes, it's the onflow of the multiplier effect of lies that you have to tell to cover up a lie. So it's just not worth it. It's not worth it for yourself and your energy. And especially when you're lying to a woman in the early part of your dating, in terms of your age or anything really. When she eventually finds out that that was a lie, she'll be like, wow, this guy was so ingenuine, like, right from the get-go. How can I ever trust him? Like, this guy's not a reliable person. And that, when you become the unreliable guy, it's really hard to come back from that, and it is so unattractive. So yeah, just don't lie. First of all, women, yeah, if you're forcing something way too hard and you're just being really fake and superficial, and that's also, kind of like a lie as well. Women will just see straight through it. Yeah, it's just not worth it.
I might just add, the reason you should listen to me is not because of whatever girls or models or threesomes I've slept with or whatever. That's like, that gave me the basis for this. That's like 10 or 20% of the reason you should listen to me. And most of the girls I've slept with have been really high quality women. I haven't just been dragging girls off apps or bars or clubs. I've done a fair bit in bars, but never clubs or apps. The only time I've slept with girls in nightclubs was when I took my 2 girlfriends to my favorite nightclub when I was growing up, just so I could say I once got laid from the Red Sea in Perth, Australia. The reason you should listen to me is because I've been surrounded by Tess, Jackie, Nevin and Natalia, Kota, Andy, Monique, Clara, all these models, most of whom have degrees, most of whom, to quote Costanza, you'd give a kidney to catch a glimpse of him in a bra. That's not a very good Jewish George Costanza accent. It sounds more like Crocodile Dundee to me, but anyway. It's because I've been surrounded by them, having them tear guys apart. And then some of the guys who have supported them for a whole year, teaching about sex and women's psychology and that sort of thing. And then the girls, I've incentivized the girls to just spill everything and just go into graphic detail about their sex life, the evil things they've done to guys. That's the reason you should listen to me. It's because I've got a 20-year database of just listening to women tell the absolute truth about themselves and then tear men to pieces in terms of what they're doing right and wrong. And also I've read a lot of books, and I've probably learnt more from great novels like I did at the start than every video on YouTube and every self-help book and all that, essentially, to me, nonsense put together. Listen to Flaubert and Tolstoy and Ayn Rand if you want to really understand women. So yeah, human lie detector test. Next one is we're really sneaky and constantly testing you. I should have got Tess to say that. We might do some more questions, so I want to do justice to them because we want to encourage more questions.
Yeah.
So we're going through. I'm just going to fly through this first. Sorry, Tess.
It's okay.
What we've covered tonight: women will exploit and hurt you if you let them. Women are only truly attracted if we cannot fuck with you. Watch Martin Scorsese Casino, one of his most underrated movies. We love your style. Muscles, I should say, muscles are way down the path for most girls. I'm not saying all girls. Health's important. We expect you to be a mind reader. Women are human lie detectors, so watch out. Don't listen to pickup artists and much of the dating stuff you can see, whatever, on YouTube or everywhere, or Instagram. But if it's in any way trying to lie or trick or manipulate women, there's some guys who can do that. I could do that if I wanted. But in many cases, I'd win the battle and lose the war. But for guys who are, just trying to get some dates and do some approaches and get more attractive girls or recover from a bad breakup, the idea you're going to manipulate women is just abject nonsense. You just don't have those skills. We can give it to you, but we still recommend you don't use it because it will come back and bite you. Questions, please, Tess?
Yes, we have a question. From Almost 007. Can you give us some more advanced advice for when, despite your best efforts, a girl just isn't opening up and open-ended questions and tell me more, etc., isn't working?
Dude, I don't know where you're from, but you're asking some great questions, man. Thank you for your support. Hopefully we're getting a ton out of this. If you have any questions when the video goes live and you want to ask them there, I'm putting a fair bit of time into doing that with help of Whisperflow. I love my Whisperflow. It's some of the best $15 a month I've ever spent. I'm not getting money for anything. Just trying to help you guys. Can you give us more advice? It happens. And the thing with women is, as a beginner, you'll do most of the stuff we teach you, and you might do it quite well, but you'll have quite a big number that just won't come through. So open-ended questions, listening for bonus information, talking and asking feelings, emotions, not facts and data questions. This is all good, but you've got to mix it with touch, eye contact, body language, body positioning, date planning, understanding female psychology, reading signals. So it's a matter of, I make this sound so hard. It's not that you've got to be really good at any of this. You just got to be better than the average American guy or the English guy at most of it. And we can help you get that very, very, very quickly, which is what we've been doing for 20 years. So my throwaway line for that is probably to listen better and to touch. Tess, can you top me with better advice on that? So, and I'm sorry, I don't have advanced advice. I've got basic fundamentals advice. Listen better, touch, and if you're on a date, make sure you've got a killer date plan, because that can do so much of the heavy lifting, with women. Tess?
Yeah, so if she's being really closed, short, and that, you know, she might be testing you early on, like, who is this guy? Is he a loser or not? Yeah, you might have to get through a few barriers for her to start opening up to you. And you simply just saying, you know, asking open-ended questions might not do it, you know. So these are definitely skills that we practice in training. Once we've built a strong foundation, we start to make it a lot more difficult for you, so you know how to handle that. The most important thing is that you don't let it phase you if she's being really closed. You just have to, don't get awkward, don't like lose your confidence, don't just keep interacting. Like, there are a certain number of women who will just never open up and you will get rejected. You know, it's, you know, maybe she's in a terrible mood, or she has a partner who she's really happy with, or she just doesn't want to speak to anyone. She's there to be there with her girlfriend or whatever it is, and she's not going to be open, and you have to accept that. That's the reality. But so yeah, at some stage you might just have to be like, cool, well, have a good night. Maybe I'll see you around. But there are definitely some advanced conversation techniques. I won't go into them here because it's going to take like way too much time, and it will probably go over the heads of a lot of you guys. But definitely what James was saying, like a lot of the body language stuff is going to help her be more open in general as well. If she's already feeling like there are some things that she's attracted to, she's going to be less likely to keep her guard up for a long time or just keep trying to reject you. So yeah, touch is huge. Eye contact, body language, posture, just not just what you're saying, but the way you're delivering that as well. So your voice, your tonality, the way you're using pauses, etc., all of that makes a big difference.
Yeah, once you've been working with us for a short time, you won't struggle with that. The sticking point you run into is actually making it sexual. So yeah, that's something we can fix fairly quickly. Probably, if you're a dumb fucker, maybe half a dozen sessions with Tess. If you're really bright, maybe 2 or 3. You can make serious inroads. I screw up with women all the time. It's usually I miss something psychologically or I say something stupid. But I can honestly say from the bottom of my heart, swear on the Bible, or in my case, I'd swear on letters of a Stoic, Letters from a Stoic by Seneca or Marcus Aurelius, Meditations. Swear on Meditations, the book, or Autobiography of Yogi, that I have not run out of things to say with a woman, I don't know, 15, 20 years. It just hasn't happened to me, simply because of the tools that Tess teaches you, Tess, Natalia, etc. I didn't invent. I pulled them all together in one and made the system myself. Pretty smart cookie, aren't I? So yeah, that's it. Next question, please, Tess. I might just say we've had tremendous success on YouTube. We had leads pouring through after our big 12,000 one. We never got over 5 before. So yeah, if you do like the idea of potentially working with Tess, I'm not very good at this. You might want to jump in quick, because at the 30th of June, which is the end of the Aussie financial year, we're going to crank our prices up quite a bit. So yeah, that's something to think of. The other thing you should consider is if you're a busy guy, coming to these is amazing. I mean, I've looked at a lot of stuff on YouTube, and obviously I'm very biased, but I think we're sharing something pretty special here. Simply because we've been doing this for 20 years. We're not YouTubers or marketers or funnel builders. We're just dating coaches. I've done hundreds of boot camps and workshops. Well, yeah, probably not hundreds by now, way over 100 in 20 years. So yeah, you might want to jump in. Next question, Tess.
Yeah, a question from James, who says, how important is it for an older man to never fully reveal how much he needs or wants a woman?
100% important. Dating is a game. Dating is a negotiation. And if you just show all your cards at the start, you're not going to win very often. And if you appear quite needy, you're never going to win. And where you do win, talking to you rich guys, like my friend who lived in the most expensive street in Australia, and when you do win, you're not going to want to win that game. You're really not going to want to win that game, because it will be painful. And you got the family law system in California, New York, all the blue states. The red states probably aren't that much better. I'm sure the Nordic countries in Western Europe, the family law system is a nightmare for men. It's terrible in Australia, probably New Zealand as well. Even India, it's terrible. So it seems to be spreading the world. Again, divide and conquer men and women, and they got us. So you just can't do that. I'm scared I'm making this too complicated to guys in YouTube land, because I'm used to coaching my clients. But yeah, if you want to date women and have relationships with women, you sort of need to get a license, because you could do serious injury to yourself or other people. Seriously, like an anecdote of mine, one of my favorite clients I coached that year, he'd built, this is in the 2000s or early 2010s, he'd built a business where his stake was worth $7 million. He had a partner. By the time he was 27, he was an immigrant to Australia who grew up incredibly poor. And he was also a classically trained pianist who'd performed around the world. He was a wonderful guy. He's about 5'4" Asian guy. And he got a rich Asian girl from a very wealthy family. And it's a usual story. She got him because whatever, he was diligent and hardworking and successful. But she just hated him because he just was so far from being a man and so weak and feeble with women. And yeah, she dragged lawsuits out over 7 years. I can't remember the number now, but it was like 3 or 4 times he made an offer. It was accepted because it was way too generous. And then she changed her mind a week later. It wasn't her lawyers attacking her. It was her just wanting to kill him. As I said, some women want to destroy weak men. And what happened was, during the process, he wasn't doing this. She starts suing his business partner and someone associated with the business partner, because she felt that he was hiding assets through them, which she knew was nonsense. I think the lawyers admitted it. It was just a lawsuit. It's just another lawsuit. It's like, you file for divorce. She makes up this story. You raped her 7 years ago, when you had a drink, and she said, "Oh, I'm not really that keen tonight." And you sort of persisted politely. She relented, enjoyed the experience massively. She texted her mum, "Oh, James was a bit pushy last night after a few drinks." And then next thing you know, you're in prison watching your roommate take a shit every morning. So I'm making it sound a bit negative, aren't I? But yeah, you need a license before you drive a car. You need some sort of training before you date women in the 2020s or the 2010s or the 2000s or the the 106s, because women can be dangerous if they're not handled properly. You need to handle them with care. Tess, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think that there probably comes a time in a long-term, like, committed relationship where where the game playing, like the early game playing kind of is stripped away, and there's more of a commitment, and like, you've figured out how to communicate with each other in a healthy way. And obviously in a healthy long-term relationship, commitment is, being open about how much you mean to each other, and having that commitment is probably really good and really important. But that happens in time, and obviously in the early part of dating, like, if you're putting her on a pedestal, or you're like being way more open than she is about how much you want her, etc., you're devaluing yourself, and it's gonna, it's not a great approach. Not at all. So it kind of plays into power dynamics in the early part of dating. And if you're giving away way too much, you're just reducing the amount of power you have in that game. And that push-pull part of the dating. So yeah, just think about that. You don't want to give away all your power.
And well said, Tess. Most guys just give away all their power. Do you want to do the next question?
Here we go. Almost 007. You've asked some good questions tonight. Do you have a limit of how many dates you'll go on before giving up on a girl who won't sleep with you? If so, how do you handle that?
I'll answer for me, then I'll answer for the crowd. In my 30s and 40s, I was a virgin. In my 20s, I was essentially a virgin until 31, apart from a little incident that happened when I was 27 that may not qualify as virginity. I don't know if my dick was hard enough to actually get all the way in there to even penetrate. It may have slipped in a little bit. More information you guys needed. But when I was in my 30s and 40s, I never, ever went on 3 dates. Like, never, ever, ever. I argued with a dating coach who's much more famous than me about this. He used to go on 5 and 6 and 8 dates. He was just determined to get them. I'm not saying this is what you should do, and this isn't beginner tactics. I had a rule. I never, ever, ever go on more than 3 dates. And I would tell them this sometimes. And my line was, listen, if we don't have a good enough connection after 3 dates, and some of them might go on for 2 or 3 hours to sleep with each other, then we're probably not long-term material anyway. And this would fuck with the young ladies. They weren't too sure how to handle that objection. I debated this on my balcony. I had Natalia. You can see every girl, most of the girls I mentioned, you can see them on my YouTube channel. I was with Jackie, and I said, I'm not going on 4 dates. And she'd gone from 20s where she was a bit more open to, if it's a really confident guy, she'll go quicker. But as she got a bit older, like a lot of women do, their sort of legs clammed together with super glue. They're not opening unless it takes tremendous amounts of time and affection and potentially money to pry the things apart. Whereas in the early 20s, they just flew open much easier. Just show a bunch of confidence and they'll open. But yeah, as they get a bit older, they really tighten up. Was this inappropriate, Tess? Am I being?
No, there's definitely some truth to that.
Yeah, I'm okay. I want to be a good boy on YouTube, so Tess is just there. So I'm like, when she's giving it this one. Sometimes she's got big. Sometimes she swallows a whole. Sometimes she really gets frustrated with some of the stuff I share on YouTube. So I'm trying to. She's doing it now for me. So I'm trying to pay attention. She's my okay, you can say that in a live seminar, but you can't say it in public cam. Anyway, it's true. So that was my rule. I never went on 3. Now, I personally think that worked like a motherfucker for me, because I knew there's no 3rd date. There is no there's no 4th date. There is no 4th date. And a lot of them was only 2. That was my rule for myself. Do you have a limit on how many dates you'd go on? I should answer for you guys before I answer for myself. Sorry. Do you have a limit on how many dates you go on before giving up on a girl who won't sleep with you? I mean, if I was purely going for a relationship, I may extend it to 4, but I don't even know if that's a good idea. There could be a situation where the girl's from an extremely conservative background, but we've got a once-in-a-lifetime connection. But even then, I mean, you know, every girl I've asked who's worth dating says 6 is 50% of a relationship minimum. Some of them say it's 90 or 95, because if that doesn't work, the relationship's not going to work. So it's so important. And a girl holding off sex or running you through so many hoops to get sex is a sign you've got a girl who's not worth dating long term. I've got a saying, the harder to date, the harder to fuck. Assuming you've got skills and you've got a legitimate connection. So how do you handle it? Yeah, it also depends. You could be in a situation where, I don't know, you work in a hedge fund, she works in private equity or something, and you're both just so freaking busy, you can't get more than an hour in your schedules to see each other. Potentially, you might only have an hour this week and then an hour 2 weeks later. You could get in a situation where if you are, I mean, this is 1% of the population, you are so busy, you just literally can't. I mean, generally, if a woman's dream guy comes along, she'll open up her schedule. She might open up those legs too quickly, but she'll open up her schedule very quickly. And this is why you don't want to be a successful guy, because the more successful you portray yourself, the tighter they super glue those shut if they think you're a good relationship candidate. Tess, do you want to add anything to that? As a woman?
No, I think you covered that pretty well. I mean, obviously, I was going to say that there's definitely a cultural aspect to this. You know, some women will just, they might not have sex at all before marriage. That's their religion. So, you know, you've just got to deal with that. But yeah, also the longer you wait without having sex, you're also sending the message to the woman that sex is not as important to you in the relationship. Like if you have a hard boundary for like, no, like the sexual dynamic's really important to me, then she knows like this is what I can expect in the relationship. Which is really important. So it's important for you to have some boundaries around that as well. But in saying that, James was completely correct. Like if you don't have any skill in terms of escalation or like building sexual chemistry, like how can you expect a woman to be sexually attracted and even want to do that with you? Or if you haven't built enough connection or trust for her to feel safe as well, like then again, so it does take some skill for you to be able to make her feel ready to have sex with you. So that's really important. And you can't set like a hard 3 dates and that's it if you have none of that skill. So it's really important that you have the foundation and for you to modulate your boundary based on that. You have to be realistic, right? But yeah, I think it's really important for any relationship to be successful that the sexual chemistry is there. And for me, like I think that if you haven't had sex, for me culturally, someone Australian who doesn't have any strict religious or cultural parameters around that, I would say if you haven't had sex after 3 or 4 dates, it's not looking good.
Yeah, this is where Tess and I are extremely good, like legendary at helping our clients, but we're very new to helping all these random people on YouTube. And I sometimes rewatch some stuff and go, "Oh my God, I'm so advanced here. I'm talking above the guys' heads." So that's why you guys have to train us to be good YouTube coaches, as distinct from amazing in-person on Zoom dating coaches. Because that's something I've got to sort of. I sometimes watch videos of people who are much better at YouTube than me. I go, "Oh, okay, they're talking at a much lower level than I am." So yeah, if you guys could help us like push back if you don't agree with something, or ask for clarification. Because sometimes I'll tell a story that my clients will go, oh man, that's super useful, but it just goes a bit above some guys' heads. That's a problem, because I just want to help you guys so much. I turned my back on a career in finance where I'd be minted, just to do this stupid business of putting bums on seats to help you with dating, which isn't a very good business model compared to a lot of other things like software as a service or finance or AI. The harder to, once you have the skills, if you've worked with Tess, if you've done our boot camp, the harder to date, the harder to fuck. And if I look at the 6 great women of my life, the love of my life, there was one huge test that was it was a big test, and then it was effortless from there. The number 2, oh my God, it was a battle. It was battle royale. I had what I call a sex fight, where we were just the most intense foreplay ever, and I'm battling. She was so into it. I'm battling and battling and battling to get her clothes off. Then eventually, after sort of 3 hours of intense foreplay, I managed to get her panties off. And then I get the panties, I take them off, and I throw them on the wall. And I swear to God, they hit the wall. They hit the wall like that. And then they just stopped and stuck to the wall. And then they ever so gently slid down the wall. Then they accelerated as they went earlier. That's how excited she was. But yeah, this girl was extraordinary by every metric I could ever imagine sharing. But she was so fucking difficult, it wasn't funny. Like 3 days of heaven, 1 day of hell. And then the 3rd greatest woman in my life was effortless. She just flew into bed. It was, I won't tell the story now, but she basically stood around while I climbed over a whole bunch of fences to break into someone's house out the back where I was staying with them, to sleep with them in like the most disgusting place I've ever taken a girl back to. And she was a model. She used to be a model, but she was an angel. There was no problems. Then 4th, another Russian. Interestingly, there's 2 Russians in there who are very, very difficult. The other Russian, that was just a whole barrage of games and tests. And then another girl I dated, she was really difficult to actually get the first time, and I had to basically leave before I broke through. So yeah, I'm pretty confident that if you've got the skills Tess and I teach and you actually practiced in them, the harder it is to get a girl into bed, the more difficult the relationship will be. So that's an amazing question, almost 007. Thank you. Next question, Tess.
A question from Landon. Why do many men discover too late that women are far more pragmatic than romantic?
Because the reason women are attracted to men is they need semen in order to recreate life. And the reason we're on the planet is so that all the little things inside our body can actually come up with opposing complementary stuff to form a kid and form a healthy kid. So women leave aside romance and love and movies and great romantic novels and long walks on the beach and roses and stuff. Women basically want someone to provide semen, and they want someone to take care of them while they deliver the baby and then raise it to whatever, to where it can survive on its own. So whatever women's thoughts of romance and love, it's all just bullshit. They basically want the best seed they can get and the best provider they can get. And I mean, there's a throwaway line that really good looking guys or guys who are very confident with women are crap fathers because, they just knock another one up or something. So yeah, women are extremely pragmatic, and they're pragmatic much younger than men because their biological clock starts to get a bit iffy, in their mid to late 30s, if not before. Whereas, I think Al Pacino popped one out in his 80s. Rupert's still going in his late 80s. Maybe the most hated Australian or most loved Australian, depending on where you stand, probably most hated. but one of the great business geniuses of all time, I think, Rupert Murdoch. I mean, he was having kids with the Chinese woman, I think, well into his 80s. So yeah, women are very pragmatic and they are romantic. It's just the way it is. Women want guys with good genes who can rapidly rise up status hierarchies. They're very, very confident. You guys are going to be tall, or going to do looks maxing, or have big muscles, or going to have a BMW. No, you've got to demonstrate to the woman you have the capability of rapidly advancing up status hierarchies. That's the number. I've just worked out after whatever 50 YouTube lives, if I point towards where the light is, you can see my fingers. I'm a bit of a slow learner. Look, I got it. Because I'm always going over here and trying to figure it out, like I'm trying to hypnotize you guys. So you go straight to the light. So yeah, I can't remember what I was going to say. I'm talking shit. Sorry. No, I'm actually helping you guys profoundly. So yeah, let's move on to the next one. Yeah, women want the seed, and then they want the best protector for the seed. So that's why the thing they value most is the skill set to rapidly rise up status hierarchies, because then historically, you can't be a trillionaire because you own Tesla shares and SpaceX shares, or own a whole bunch of property, because you couldn't carry that shit on your back, and they didn't have stock markets back in the prehistoric days. So you could only your assets were things you could carry on your back. So the idea that a man would have great wealth was nonsensical. But our brain, according to books I've read, it takes 50,000 years for any meaningful change in our brain chemistry. So women are still 50,000 years ago in the African savannah. In today's world with AI and all this nonsense, not nonsense, this incredible technology. So yeah, they're much more pragmatic than romantic. So are men. So are men. That's why we're not interested in girls who don't eat the right stuff or don't exercise enough. Anyway, next question, Tess.
Yeah. Okay, it's a good question from Almost 007. Give us a test that exceptionally beautiful women will pull that you wouldn't see just pretty women.
I've got so many, but my brain only filters so many. I don't think you've come here before. I was on a date with a girl who was, I don't know, by Australian standards, exceptionally beautiful. I could have easily hired as a trainer. She would have been, I don't think she was a model actually, but she would have been, probably in the top half of my model trainers in terms of attractiveness, in my opinion anyway. And we're sitting in a cafe, and it was the first step of my date plan, and I was opposite her, and this fucking thing walked in. When I say thing, I mean she must have just hopped off a boat from Moscow or Budapest or Kiev. I mean, they don't manufacture women like this anywhere else in the world. I know, I've been to over 103 countries. And yeah, she was very young. I don't know, she was 18 or 19. And she was just absolute skin tight dress, stuck to her basically, a push-up bra. My joke is it was designed by the boys at SpaceX to show as much possible cleavage as possible without a nipple dropping out, and then to just bounce in a way that guys would be sitting in the cafe jerking off under the table. And she walks through the cafe, and I don't think she saw me, she saw the girl I was with. She goes, I'm going to cause some trouble here. What's with this guy that he's got her? I hadn't slept with her yet. It was just the first date. And then she just puts a little spring in her step, and her hips start flowing back and forth. You know how women walk, their hips sway when they feel sexy or when they want to get guys' attention. And then the thing I remember most is just, oh my God, the world's greatest fucking hugest breast tissue just going whoop, 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 whoop. And I've dated some big-breasted Russian women. I'm a bit of a connoisseur of such breast tissue, and this was like Michael Jordan level. And anyway, the girl I'm with, Michael Jordan level breast tissue. I'm not saying she dunked in her high heels or anything. So Anyway, the girl looks at me and she goes, "Oh my God, that girl's so beautiful, isn't she?" What would you guys all do in this situation? Please answer in the chat. I'm going to actually make you guys answer. We'll give 30 seconds before you answer, because I really want some of you, I want to test you. I'm here to help you, not just, if you want to be entertained, go watch Dougie Stanhope, my favorite comedian. Or the second greatest comedian of all time is Bill Hicks. Or you can go do some Looksmaxing with Clavy God, whatever his name is, Clavy dude. So while I'm fudging, who's the greatest basketballer of all time? If everyone could vote in the comments, that would mean a lot to me, because I always make Michael Jordan references. And I don't want to ostracize people when I say, LeBron being better than Flat Earth is more silly than LeBron being better than Michael Jordan is far more silly than the Flat Earth movement. So yeah, who's the greatest basketballer of all time? As well as, what should you say when the most stunning girl walks past with good titties, and the girl you're on a first date with goes, "Oh my God, that girl's so beautiful, isn't she?" Have I given enough time yet, Tess?
I didn't see anything coming through about the basketball players.
Tess, okay, can you go, "Oh my God, that girl's so beautiful, isn't she?" I'm on a date with Tess, trying to wiggle me way into her pants, and the girl walks past, and then Tess goes,
"Oh my God, that girl is so beautiful."
"Oh yeah." Actually, before I tell you what most of you guys would do, hopefully it'll come through in the comments, because I've asked this question on 100 seminars I've done, workshops, is a lot of you guys will say, "Oh, no, not really." Or a lot of you will say, "I didn't notice her." Some of you will say, "Yeah, but she's dressed like a bit of a slut." It's the dumbest thing you can say. Others will say, "Yeah, she's pretty, but I like you better." Again, these are all answers that get 3 or 4 out of 10 or less. Why? Because you're breaking, was it law number 5 tonight? Never lie to women. So this is how I handled it, and I was pretty chuffed with myself for handling this so well. This is what happens when you're pretty promiscuous. It's easy to get the next girlie because you did really well with the last girlie. Just like rich guys, when compound interest kicks in, they just get richer and richer and richer. When you start to get good with women, you just get better and better and better and more and more and more, because it becomes really easy to you. Tess, so give me the "Oh, she's so beautiful" again.
Oh my God, she is beautiful.
Say it with much more energy and enthusiasm, and do it in a testing vibe, as if you're really punching me with this to put me on the spot. Like, "Oh my God, she's so beautiful, isn't it?" There's no way you can avoid answering my question, and I'm staring directly into your eyes. Do it that way.
Okay. You're testing my acting abilities. Okay. Oh my God, she is so beautiful.
Yeah, she's really hot. So, yeah, tell me how that new Pilates class you started is going. Ta-da! I get the Nobel Prize for handling the tests of beautiful women. That was like when Megyn Kelly asked Trump, "You've called women fat pigs, bloated slobs, and stupid fools. How are we going to have you as president?" And then he goes, "Only Rosie O'Donnell." And then the crowd erupted. Megyn Kelly had a look in her eye like she might have liked a bit of taste of Donny's wiener. And anyway, he got out of one of the most difficult situations that's ever happened in a presidential debate. So that was exactly like me saying, "Yeah, but how was that new Pilates class?" So hopefully you guys remember this for the rest of time, and you'll all send me like $1,000 for changing your life with this information. We'll get on to the next question, Tess. Do you want to add it? Can you explain from the girl's point of view why I passed that test so effectively? This is the shit I forget to do on YouTube that my clients get automatically.
Yeah, so what he's done, he hasn't lied. He's acknowledged what she said and agreed, which is, it's obvious, but he hasn't made a big deal about it. He's just casually been like, "Yeah, she is really hot." and the focus is back on you and engaging with you. So he's not lying, he's acknowledging it, but he's not making a big deal about it. He's showing he's confident, he's grounded, and it's not going to phase him, right? Because he's here to be with me. But he's not doing that in a sucky uppy, put me on a pedestal type of way, or making him look pathetic by just saying like, oh yeah, but you're way hotter, or whatever. Because it's probably ingenuine if she's like the hottest woman to ever walk the face of the earth. He's just acknowledging that, but not giving it, not placing like more value on that than there needs to be.
Yeah, go watch Megan Kelly trying to woman's test Donnie, and good old Donnie just knocked that for 6. As they say in that basketball movie, get that shit out of here, Megan. You can't trap me. And that's probably why she was having some wee thoughts of Donnie's wiener. If you watch the video and you study body language and micro expressions, which I'm probably an expert at, I'm like, oh, she's got a wee bit of a crush on Donald Trump there, even though he's not the world's most attractive woman, whatever he was then, 74 when he ran for president the first time. Next question, then we'll move on to the next point.
Yes. Okay. Question from almost 007. On rare occasion, a girl will refuse a coffee date as a first date and say they only accept dinner dates. Would you comply, convince, or discard?
This is where it's a bit problematic helping guys on YouTube, because I don't know you, I don't know your skills. I mean, the great philosopher question, why? I'd ask her why. That would be my response. I could give you a lot more detail, but I think that's the best comeback. Why are you so keen on dinner? That's a real sign that you've got a gold digger, an amateur gold digger, and she wants to immediately get a read on where you take her and how much money you spend. So if a girl is adamant it's got to be a dinner date, I would say that's a bunny boiler. For any of you guys who aren't as old and decrepit as me, bunny boiler is a reference to a movie called Fatal Attraction, where Michael Douglas picked up a girl when his lovely wife was away, and she boiled his daughter's bunny. I'm giving away the ending. Yeah, I would just ask why.
Yeah.
Hopefully some of these are giving you an idea of how dating is pretty much the most advanced skill set on earth. I'm not saying it compares to AI engineering, although it's probably close. The level of social understanding and psychological understanding it takes to succeed at dating is extreme. I've got to do a YouTube short about this. If you want to make more money in your career, one of the best uses of time you can ever do is to go out and try to sleep with a whole bunch of hot girls. Because the byproduct of going out and sleeping with a whole bunch of hot girls is you're going to develop a skill set that you can take into the corporate world and fucking destroy. Absolutely fucking destroy. Because when it comes to most interviews, most negotiations, office politics, you're going to have cutting edge training that will destroy anything short of the CIA or Mossad in how to win in those situations. And this is, so many of my clients are 10, 50, 100 times richer than me because they took I want to get a decent girlfriend. I want to get a bit of sex. I want to stop being lonely. I want to stop jerking off to porn, hating myself. Because they came to my events with, I want to stop jerking off to porn. I wanted to kill myself, spitting my precious seed into, a fucking tissue and then just feeling horrible about myself, to some awful shit on the internet. Because they came to Social Coach wanting these skills, we gave them what they wanted. They got to sleep with a bunch of girls, get their dream girl. But what we gave them beyond that was they're now worth 10 million or 20 million or 50 million. I left out a guy. I had dinner with him And his girlfriend, he met her when she was 23. He's 48. She's got the best body I've seen in a long, long time. He says this is the love of her life, my forever girl. She's so in love with him. She's an AI engineer who's richer than him. So she's probably got 20 IQ points on him. He's just a digital marketer. She's an AI engineer. And he sleeps with other girls as well. And he got all that out of my program. He's given me a testimonial. I can't show his whatever face, but I can use it. And the thing is, he's gone from basically bleeding money in his digital marketing agency to, I don't know if I can say, he's onboarded some of the most blue chip Australian clients you can imagine. Just, it's ridiculous how well he's done. And for a time, he had 2 sets of 2 bisexual girlfriends, and he had a whole bunch of girls on the go before he met this girl who he's just crazy about. I'm just watching these 2 together. They're so in love. I had dinner with them. She was a fascinating girl as well. She told me a lot about AI. And literally when he came to the boot camp, he didn't have very much money, and he was just out of, I can't remember if it was a 15 or a 17-year sexless marriage. Just barren, nothing, zero. He got no sex for 14 years, and he just hung around to do a good job as a father. I think we'll get onto a point. Did I give you a chance to talk about this, Tess?
No. No, yeah. So, yeah, I think, yeah, the why, obviously the why is really important, guys. Like, if she has a hard rule, it might be yes, because she's a bunny boiler, or yeah, a gold digger, but maybe she doesn't drink coffee, and she also, her only free times at night, whatever. Like, you've got to give her the chance to explain. But yeah, you just ask it in like a lighthearted way, I think. Especially when it's like first date. Yeah. So yeah, just be like, oh, cool, why is that? You know, and give her the opportunity to explain. Yeah.
This is why your questions and having Tess and I is so fucking important, because Tess has just put into my mind an exception to my rule. I was right. My first response was ask why. But then the answer could have been, I work in a hedge fund. I'm studying to be a surgeon. I've dated girls who do this shit, both of these things. I'm just so busy. The only time I can possibly see you without serious career damage is if we have a quick dinner on Thursday night. So I don't want to meet for a coffee because I don't have an hour and a half to spend with you just drinking coffee, but I will do dinner. So if you ask why, I'm right, but there's nuance to it. If you ask why and she gives you the answer, you go, oh, well, okay, we'll break one of James's rules in a specific situation, and I'll take you to dinner. But yeah, often if a girl's insisting on dinner and she doesn't have a really good reason, you probably got to use her in a gold digger, and that's one of her little tests for you. Because gold diggers, through I coached a guy from one of the wealthiest families in Sydney, and in England, one of the most famous fortunes in England, and we became really good friends. And through him, I got to meet probably one of the world's greatest gold diggers. She dated a Russian billionaire. She dated another billionaire by the time she was 23. And she was only using this guy who's going to inherit many hundreds of millions of pounds. She was only hanging out with this guy to use him for networking. What did I say that? So yeah, I learned quite a bit about the art of gold digging. Also, one of my trainers is not too bad herself. And yeah, if you're a hot girl, it's the best ROI on your time and brains you could ever get. Just get some stupidly rich guy, suck his dick once a month, and then control him because he's completely clueless with women if he's that successful. And once you got the ring on your finger, you don't even need to do that. Okay, let's do the next point. We covered this last time, and we got a whole bunch of nasty comments. Tess, do you want to say that?
We're really sneaky and constantly testing you.
Yeah, I mean, we're telling you the harsh things about women. As I said, if you want to drive a woman, if you want to drive a car, you better get some training and a license. If you want to date women in the 2020s, you really need a license for your own protection. It's a dangerous game out there. It's most of the joy in life. This comes from a man who's traveled to 103 countries and basically didn't work for a decade, did whatever the hell he wanted to do. The greatest joy in my life was being in love with this woman I'm probably still in love with today. And I've done a lot of shit, like you name it, like whatever, the hang gliding, the parachuting, the Iguazu Falls, and the great places on earth, and girls everywhere. But the greatest joy of my life by far was truly being in love. Yeah, so they're just constantly testing you. It's just men get what they want through violence and the threat of violence, and women get what they want from sneaky, subtle games. Now, a lot of women do this unconsciously, and many women do it for a reason. Like I told you a story of a girl who was one of the most important women in my life, who took me out to a family dinner and just dumped me on the other side of a table with, I don't know, 12 or 16 people on it, and put me around people I didn't know, I had no rapport with, and I had to just go from the start. And then she's just sitting watching me the whole time. Like, you know, she's out in a dinner. She's not even really paying attention to her family. She's looking at me. That was just one gigantic fucking woman's test. And as it turned out, I passed it, and she changed my life. And I loved her dearly. So yeah, you just got to accept, if you're going to deal with women, you're going to deal with Tess. I know a bunch of you guys are going to attack me in the comments and just say unpleasant things about us. I could be a marketer and just tell you, oh, women are really easy. If you just do these 3 things, these 3 things, we'll have supermodels land on your dick tomorrow or your money back. There's a whole bunch of terms and conditions where we never give you your money back. We're not going to do that. We tell you the truth, which I hope smarter guys appreciate and go, yeah, I'll go with the guys who tell me the truth, not the guys who fill me full of a bunch of bullshit. Tess, what you want to share a woman's test you've pulled on guys, or give me your perspective? Okay, I haven't dated Tess. Tess is not a huge tester, I don't think. Jackie, Val, of my other female coaches, they're probably pretty relentless. They are pretty relentless testers.
Yeah.
Just do your best on tests.
Yeah, tests, I mean, absolutely. And you're right. A lot of my tests are more like observational, but, things that I will test for or observe. If a guy early on is insecure about me dressing a certain way, or getting attention from other men, let's say, when we're out and about, whatever, that's a big test for me, testing how insecure he is about me and other men. And not that I'm like necessarily pushing the limits of that and trying to get lots of attention from men, although I have done that in relationships where I felt the need to kind of for validation, let's say, but that's not something I would generally do. But yeah, that's a really big test to see, like, how confident is this guy, how needy is he, or how insecure is he about that sort of thing. That's a really big indication of, like, potentially how much experience he's had with other beautiful women. So I've definitely done that. As a relationship progresses, I might be testing more around the power dynamics in the relationship. Like, I might ask him to do kind of outrageous things, like, pick me up at late, from inconvenient places, at, like, pick me up from the airport at whatever ridiculous hour of the day, or just from a night out with the girls, and on the other side of town, in the middle of the night, whatever, and see how much he's willing to go out of the way to do inconvenient things for me. That's kind of a little bit of a test to know, like, how much power I have for those sorts of things. But also how much where I stand in terms of his list of priorities in life as well. So, on when he has time off, like how much time is he going to dedicate to going on a date with me, or showing me a good time, or just doing something really special for me, compared to maybe, I don't know, doing one of his hobbies or spending time with his mates, blah, blah, blah. I definitely test those things ongoing. So yeah, the kind of tests that you'll receive early on in the relationship might be a lot different to in a long-term relationship. But yeah, women will constantly be keeping you on your toes. Like, we definitely want, because you guys get lazy. I'm sorry, but it's like, you do start to take us for granted after a while. And so yeah, we need to keep you on your toes. Otherwise, otherwise you just become unattractive to us, to be honest. So yeah, we do constantly test you.
That was really useful, Tess. Most of what you need to succeed with women, that we believe we teach nearly all of it, is just a simple system that I've got systems for, that's taught to you by women as attractive as Tess, whether it's on Zoom or in person. Most of it's really simple and straightforward. And to be honest, after doing this for 20 years, well, I think it's September, it'll be 20 years. So 19 years and 3 months, to be completely honest. It's really boring to me. I do it because I just love helping people so much, because I sucked at this so much. But women's tests and women's psychology is endlessly fascinating. My metaphor is particle physics. Something that happens here is completely and utterly different. Something that happens here is completely and utterly different. Something that happens here, then it reappears there again, and it's changed as well. It's massively complicated. And the difference between women and their stage in life before you even get into culture is massive. But that is the number one, like, female psychology, the advanced module of that is women's tests and how they manipulate and fuck with us and assess us and keep us on our toes. I do a 2.5-day course in it, and a lot of my studs have come out of that. And we divide women's tests up into sort of character and intention and power and validation, all this stuff. Far too advanced for anyone on YouTube, for most of the guys on YouTube. So yeah, one thing I should have done at the beginning, I think this is an incredible opportunity for you guys. Oh, he's fucked up, has he? No, he hasn't. Anyway, please like, subscribe, ring the bell, blah, 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 blah. But the reason I really wanted this slide, and share it with your friends and comments. We're well over 12,000 from our last one. I've put much more effort into this one, and we'll start doing actual proper videos that aren't 3.5 hours long, and shorts, and build a global community. If you can support us to make YouTube like us, I'm still learning a lot about content. I was hanging out with a blonde girl who was, most guys would bang her. It turned out she teaches people to grow massively on Instagram. That was her job. I don't know what she calls it. And then I sort of showed her my business, and then I opened my YouTube channel, and then I showed her some of the videos I'd done. And then she saw, actually, please answer this one. Who has seen this video? It's called The Top 10 Mistakes Intelligent Men Make with Women, James, social coach. Like, way over 100 guys have seen this, and like flown from Toronto, whatever it is, 32 hours, or New York, I don't know, 30 hours, or Stockholm, or Moscow, or Ireland, Norway. They've flown all the way to Sydney for my boot camp. And so many of these guys spent more time in the airplane, by far, twice as much time in an airplane as they did actually on my course. And the course is long, it's 45 hours, at least in transit, I should say. If you've seen that, should say, yes, seen it. That's such an important metric for me. It would really help me serve you guys better. Everything I ask you to do is ultimately to help us serve you better. So yeah, if you chuck your, have you got the link, Tess? I'll chase up the link. If you chuck, if you put your email into that little thing, I'll give you the full unedited version, which I had to cut that with the whole whatever post Harvey Weinstein bullshit. I'll give you the full unedited version that I've added a lot to. So it's going to be, it'll be 3 times more useful than what sits on YouTube today, and it will probably be 50% better than what was originally there. And this has transformed millions of guys. Multiple guys have basically said, I watched that 100 times and applied everything you did. I never paid you a cent, but you completely changed my life. Thank you so much for the wife I've got. And it was compared very favorably to the other speeches. Oh, the reason I mentioned, I'm not a very good storyteller, am I? The reason I mentioned this girl is she's like she obviously teaches guys to blow up Instagram. And when she saw this video, she's like, oh, you're like the OG dating coach. I don't even really know what OG means. And she's like, and she thought I was some sort of celebrity, because apparently so many people have been watching this, and that's part of what they do when they just copy my stuff. And literally the greatest marketer of dating coaches in the world, I probably shouldn't drop names, but he's done half the people you've heard of, and he's scaled them to 500,000 subscribers and revenues way beyond whatever I got, including people who I don't think are anywhere near as good as me. He said, oh yeah, when that came out, every single marketer just got a transcription, and basically just, that's the fears and frustrations, that's understanding clients, that's all the shit they should do, and it was just copied endlessly. So if you haven't seen it, I implore you to see it. I mean, these YouTube lives are great, but I put a lot of time and effort into trying to give someone the most valuable hour of your life to improve with women, other than going on a date with Tess, but this is probably running second. That was getting 50 to 70,000 views. Sorry. Yeah, 50,000 views a month. I stopped making YouTube content because I became famous and I didn't want to do that. Anyway, this is going to be insane value. I should have said this to you guys earlier. Sorry about that. If you're switched off or you got sick of me stories. Okay, we'll do some questions.
Yes. Okay, back to the questions. A question from Virtual. How much of what women say they want actually matches what they respond to?
Jesus Christ, I don't know, man. Could be anywhere between 5% and like probably 80%. Probably more like 20. Yeah, the truth is a lot of women don't know what they want because they don't understand. They don't understand that they have this hypersensitivity to where energy goes. A lot of them don't actually understand how powerful being seen with other high status people is. Tess gives a beautiful example about being at a rock show with her hot sort of model looking friends. And there's some butt ugly fucking dude on stage playing guitar. And they're all going, oh, he's so hot, isn't he? And then they sort of, anyway, do you want to lead with that, Tess? Well, I have a bit of a wee wit.
Yeah, go for it, James.
As they say in one of the great movies of the 90s, that was a little bit more information than I needed, Vince, but you go right ahead. Okay, tell me who said that. Who altered that line? We'll see how big a 90s movies fan you are. From one of the most wasted geniuses in the history of cinema.
Okay, while James is having a little break. So yes, this is an interesting question for sure. I think that women think they know what they want, but then absolutely do respond more instinctually to things that they're like, why am I doing this? Why do I keep going for the bad boy who treats me like shit? And there's just like some allure there. There's this mystery, this guy, there's some danger that I just like, I can't get enough of it. Right. But that's not really what we want. We know I know he's bad for me. I know it's terrible. Why do I keep going back? That's such a typical story. The example that James was alluded to as well, where I was talking about, I go to a concert with friends, and my friend's like, oh my God, how hot is the lead singer? Oh my God, that guy's amazing. And I'm like, wait, let's take a closer look at this guy and actually just like remove him from the situation of him being on stage and playing in front of a crowd. And I'm like, is that guy actually attractive to you? And she's like, actually, no, no, he's not. But it's literally just it's what James said. It's that energy that's going towards him, and it's him being commanding this, sea of people and entertaining them and being like a god to all of these people. That's what's actually really attractive in that moment. It's not It's not the fact that he looks a certain way or that he has any sort of physical attributes that we're like, oh, that guy's really attractive. It's the fact that he's the ultimate alpha male within that setting, right? And that's like, wow, that's really hot. So that's a classic example, and I think it's one that a lot of people can empathize with. It's like, so it's like, okay, yes, I've experienced that. So it's a really great way to illustrate this, that women might logically think they want something but respond to something completely different. And there are, it depends on the woman's level of understanding about those sorts of things that might dictate how clearly she communicates what she actually wants, or actually knows what she really responds to. But I think it's really, really common that women don't respond to something completely different to what they say they want.
I think I started with the example of thanks, Tess, of the Tess always tells me when sometimes we do the Zoom calls together, and I'm always giving all this feedback when I'm hidden. The example of how I was like, oh my God, I opened this talking about an orientation camp I went on when I was, especially when I was 17. I was probably bottom quintile, bottom 10 or 15% of men there. I mean, I was a fucking ugly kid and a fucking ugly teenager. Like, my nose, my ears, my feet were the same size, but my body was like a quarter of whatever. It's like you could paint me and put me on TV and the kid's starving, send money to Africa. Although you're not meant to do that these days. I was just so unattractive. But one of the hottest girls there, probably the prettiest face there, she just comes after me because I was with one of the hotter guys there who was super cool and smooth, and the only girl who could have been hotter than her. So she comes after me. I'm like, no girl's ever looked at me. She touched me dick. She touched me dick. I got me dick touched for the first time. Didn't last very long, but at least it got touched. Took a long time to actually get inside one of the vagina things, but it got touched for just that minute or two. Women don't know what they want. Like a lot of you guys, there'll be a staggeringly beautiful girl who's, smart and blah, 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 blah. She shares all your hobbies and interests, but particularly with, American, Australian, English, these days, Western European girls, she's not really that feminine. And you're like, yeah, I'd bang her, but you're not really that attracted. And let's say this girl's a 10. Then you see a girl who's like a 7.5. But she's so feminine and so sexy, and the way she moves, maybe she's been a ballerina or something. Or one thing that really got me when I was in New York was a girl who was a children's television actress. I mean, she was just fucking adorable. Like, oh my God, she was so sexy. I mean, she was a good 8.5, bordering on 9. She's a bit short for me, but she was like a really good, and I'm just like, I want to fucking throw her down and take her right now. She was so sexy. And that time I was in New York, I was dating like proper models and girls who were coming from modeling to acting. Because I studied at New York Film Academy and loved it. It was one of the best experiences of my life. Although I believe it's gone very commercial now. I did it in 2005, I think. Yeah, when it was the only one thing in Soho. It was Soho, New York. It was amazing. We will respond to a woman who's really feminine and really sexy, way more than we will a girl who's much more beautiful than her. I had this experience in my life where I went for a girl who was, was hot. Nearly every guy would bang her, but she wasn't anywhere near as attractive as other girls I dated. But she was so sexy and so sexual, bisexual as well, which kind of helped. Next question, Tess. Did you answer that?
Yes. Yeah, I did. Question from Anthony. What's the real reason many older women get taken advantage of in relationships?
because they don't understand female psychology and tests, and they're needy and they lead with their money and they can't read signals. Yeah, probably just what we've talked about, the whole thing. Men, okay, what was our first point called? That's probably the best answer to it. Women will exploit you and hurt you if you let us. Women will exploit you and hurt you if you let us. So as I invented on this YouTube live, if you want to drive a car and potentially hurt yourself and hurt other people, you need to do some training, you need to get a license, and you need some competence. If you want to date women, particularly in the 2020s, where it can go savagely wrong and end up in law courts and career ruin, you want to do some training and you want to get a license. And if you're watching this and you're already making 100 grand a year, this goes double for you. If you're watching this and you're making $500,000 a year, $1 million a year, this goes like 100 times for you, because there's so much at stake if you end up with the wrong woman, or potentially you even just really piss off a good woman because you were a bit feeble as a man in the relationship, even though you might be the biggest alpha male on the planet. So yeah, that's basically the answer to your question. Let me just get rid of that if I can work out how to. Sorry, can you put that question back up, Tess, please?
Yes. Here we go.
Yeah, that's basically it. Just because they don't understand the game. What's the reason I got bullied when I was a little kid? My body language was hunched over. People knew guys could look at me and go, that kid's going to be really easy to bully. Plus I was horrendously skinny and all this sort of thing. But I remember one time a bully who, I don't know what I weighed. I mean, I was like the ultimate stick man. My nicknames growing up were Worms, because it didn't matter how much I ate, I never put on weight, and Snap, because I was really fucking good at sport. But whenever I was about to mark an Australian football, or when I played Australian baseball, cricket, people said, oh, it looked like you're going to snap then. So I was obvious going to bully. But women can tell. They'll just, you spend so much money on them. The first date, you're telling them all about how successful you are, how much money you've got, all these great things you've done. You're not listening. You buy them dinner. You take them to expensive places. You're always trying to demonstrate value to them, just like so many other dating coaches teach. And then they go, okay, well, this guy's clueless. He's taking advantage of him. I've had, my personal trainers, my rock stars, and my coke dealers. This guy makes like 350 grand a year. He's very diligent. He's pretty good looking. I can dress him up a bit more. I'm going to marry this guy. Women don't marry the men they want. They marry the men they can keep and control. Repeat. Women don't marry the men they really want. They marry the men they can keep and they can control. Now, this isn't always an evil thing, but if you're a wussy, it can turn evil. You can turn an okay or even a good woman evil by being too much of a wuss with her. So that's it, basically. This isn't the happy, fun YouTube live, is it? Do you want to present a woman's point of view on any of this? How men do horrible things to women? I'm trying to think. There's so many. I mean, men can be absolutely fucking awful. I know of stories of women who are a bit overweight, men, I'm going to be careful what I say. Men can't be clueless and weak. Women can't be physically unattractive. Obviously, weight is something a lot of us factor into that. So I've heard stories, so I've got a few friends who are psychologists, of overweight women who are obviously needy because they can't get another man, even women who've got kids and that they're dependent on a man for security. And the man, I want to use the C word, but I'll get in trouble. And this guy is just an absolute fucking C word to her. It's just like, if you actually, you might not even know him or know her, but if you ever came face to face with him, you'd want to fucking punch his lights out, as we say in Australia. The guy's such a fucking asshole to this woman. So women have tools that they can use to control and manipulate us, and they do. Many of them mostly use it to advance the relationship and to figure out who you are. Some of them use it in an evil way, and some of them, if you let them down enough or try to lie to them, will use it in a very evil way. Men, I'm not a woman's dating coach at this point. I'd like to be, although the they'd hang me. Can you imagine me being a mate? Tess is laughing. Can you imagine me being a woman's dating coach, telling the truth about everything and trying to make it entertaining? That was the sweetest supermodel smile we've seen from lovely Tess. It's like, yeah. There'll be people, I'll be on stage trying to help the girls, and they'll be running up with fucking their red-soled shoes, beating my skull in. I've actually seen a little 5'2" stripper beat a guy after he pushed her boyfriend. I've seen this little stripper just beat the living fuck out of a guy, and the guy's face was like a bunch of puncture wounds. You wouldn't believe. I didn't see all of it. I saw the end of it from 60 meters away. This girl was just on top of him, just smashing him with her high heel. Anyway, if I ever become a woman's dating coach and do like the Matthew Hussey seminar, where I'm saying this is what you got to do if you want to get the best men, there'd be a bunch of girls up there with their high heels just turning my head into like what's a good metaphor for that? Into like a punch bowl. It'd be like they're crushing a watermelon to pieces. So yeah, maybe I won't be I'll need bodyguards if I become a woman's dating coach. Because yeah, I can tell one of you guys, okay, man, you see the clothes you bought from New York to do the boot camp? I want you to do me a big favor. I want you, when you get off the boot camp, I want you to take your whole suitcase to the nearest homeless person and say, hey, my dating coach told me to give this to you as a gift because I won't be needing it anymore. I've said this shit to guys 150, 200 times, and they're going, do you think it will get me more pussy? I go, I guarantee it. They're like, okay, I'll do it. Some of them have given a whole bunch of clothes to homeless people. So when I do boot camps near a certain location in Sydney, I'm sure there's homeless people with their fucking cask of wine lining up going, I'm going to get some warm clothes from the winter when James finishes his boot camp, because they'll get a lot of really bad designer label clothes from rich guys. Anyway, crapping on. Next question. Okay, if anyone thinks that's just some waffly old fucking pretentious Mad Hatter dork, just give me feedback in the comments. If any of you find me at least moderately amusing, give me that feedback too. My skill's public speaking, where I can see what's going on. Here I got no idea. Only Tess, and she seldom finds me funny. So I need to get Monique. She always finds me funny, like even when I'm not funny. And I'm not kidding. Tess is wonderful. It's good she doesn't find me funny, because then anyway. That encourages me to say things that will get me in trouble. Next question.
Okay. Another question from Anthony. How much does a woman's attraction change once she knows you're very into her?
Crash. See? Who can read Tessa's body language? If you're watching the replay, skip back 10 seconds. It's game over, Sonny. If she's hot, you're gone. She might keep, if you got cash or you're good looking, she might keep you as like the provider guy, although this is the best guy I can get and I'm 32, but it's gone. Dating is a game. It's a game and you got to learn to play it. Tess, did you want to add anything to my...
Yeah. So it's definitely also in relation to her level of attraction to you. You know, like if you, if she knows you're really, really into her, but she's like unsure about you, then yes, it's going down. If this is if you only give away how much you're into her, or she kind of that develops over time when you've kind of already set the hook and she's really, really into you, she might love that. She's like, oh wow, this guy who I've been obsessed with for ages really likes me. You know, that's awesome. But at that stage, you've kind of already set the precedent of her being really attracted to you, right? So you've kind of got to do that first.
Okay, quiz question for Tess. Wherever you go, whatever you do, I will be right here waiting for you. Whatever it takes or how my heart breaks, I will be right there waiting for you. Anyway, if anyone is old enough to remember this song, when I broke up with the love of my life because I was so addicted to travel, and then about 3 days later, I go, that's the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life. we had a misunderstanding that led to that. I was so in love, like I still am today. I had a DJ friend. This is before whatever the internet. This is proper internet and all these tools. I started getting him to make a CD or a tape for me with like "Right Here Waiting for You" and what's it? And Lionel Richie, "Hello." And in my dreams, I've kissed your lips 1,000 times. And then obviously Pretty Woman. And then you got to go Joe Cocker, "You are so beautiful." So I had this guy making up this cassette tape, trying to get my love of my life back. So, yeah, I don't think that would have helped my cause. And my DJ friend said, "I'll do it for you because you're one of my best friends, but I don't think it's going to help you, man." But yeah, I'd had my guts torn out. It took me like a year, and I had to sleep with a shitload of women to even begin to get over the greatest heartbreak in my life. I'm getting sad thinking about it. I was in the most extraordinary pain. I was walking across the park in New York after I flew away and left her. This is before we broke up. We were going to see each other again. And it's just like someone just carved the insides out of me. It was insane. Anyway, enough of my heartbreak. If anyone thinks I should never, ever sing again on a YouTube live, just tell me in the comments. I need your feedback about this. Tess thought it was funny, but you guys might think, shut the fuck up, dude. You really can't sing. I know I can't sing. I would have sung it to her on the phone if I thought it helped. Yeah. But yeah, interestingly, I don't know how many people can honestly, truly say they've been just really absolutely in love in a spiritual way. Because I think most people get the best partner they ever can, and then they conflate that with love. And it's a very, very different thing. Spiritual people, even Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich says, love, true love, creates a separate entity, a separate sort of spiritual being that will live in the universe or the astral planes forever. I hear all the, what you call them, materialists switching off in droves when I'm talking this hippie poo-poo. Okay, dating tip number 25. If you want to bang models, you're going to listen to a few stories of their past lives. And if you can listen intently and ask good open-ended questions, you might get your end in a few times. And I can attest to that firsthand. A lot of them, particularly the cool hippie ones, they got some past life stories they want to tell you. And yeah. And interestingly, falling in love properly opened my mind to all this shit. That's what allowed me to actually start meditating and going, hey, there is something more than what humans can explain with measuring shit and doing maths. Anyway, let's get back to your sex life. That was the best tip ever. If you want to date models, some of them are a bit hippie, certainly the ones I've been with, and they've got a past life story or two they might want to share with you. Interestingly, one of these girls was extremely bright, like extremely bright. I was traveling with her, and she immediately grabbed Machiavelli's The Prince off me. Anyway, let's get back to the comments.
Okay, another question from Ralph. Welcome, Ralph. How should you react if you're on a date and the woman hardly talks and seems bored? It may just be a test. Otherwise, of course, it's a very bad sign.
You may want to try touching. I mean, it's really amateur, but if I was an amateur, I'd do it. So what do you really enjoy talking about? If we haven't trained you, and like we teach you how to ask what I call Trojan horse questions, where you ask really boring, seemingly getting to know you questions, but they delve into our hobbies and interests. So if you just remember one thing on YouTube, go, so what do you most like talking about, Tess? Now, use me best mate from Australia, Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter. Just channel his energy. So what do you really like talking about, Tess? What's your favorite animal? I love crocodiles. What's your favorite one? Just use that energy. That can solve so many problems with dating. Just channel your inner Steve Irwin. That's how I've got through well over 100 boot camps and workshops. I've gotten into some pretty hairy situations where The bar's empty. The music's crazy loud. There's only 3 or 4 girls in there. I've got like a ton of students behind me, and they're like, they don't want to approach. And when I don't want to approach, I know there's a major problem. And it's just, oh, fuck. Turn social intelligence on like 20 out of 10 and channel my inner Steve Irwin, so that when I do my first approach, I'm just like, how are you going? I don't do that, but I have the massive, friendly, beautiful, warm energy with them. How's your ex-woman talks? It could be a test. Hot girls will intentionally do that. They'll withdraw a lot. Jackie talks about this all the time. She'll withdraw a long way and see if the guy is confident enough to continue the conversation. If the guy is not skilled enough to let it get awkward, no Jackie panties for you. I'm sure Tess would do the same thing. She might not admit it consciously, but I'm sure she's done that. Most hot girls will do that. Yeah, when you see the supermodel smile, that's her pleading guilty. You want to add anything, Tess?
Yeah, obviously, I think what James said, like the more energy you give, the more she's likely to reciprocate as well. Because if you're being really warm and friendly and have great energy, and she's there being a bitch, it's going to make her feel like a bitch, and that doesn't feel good. So it's kind of just the law of reciprocity that can work really well. But yeah, also, the kinds of questions you're asking as well can bring energy to the date and make it fun as well. You might need to just ask about fun things, get her talking about something she really wants to talk about, right? Or sometimes like hypothetical questions can be great to like bring some imagination as well.
Okie dokie. Let me see. We do have some points left, but I honestly think this, when I was preparing this, I go, this is going to be the best thing we've done. This is what I'd kill for. Actually, we'll do this one as well. This is sort of empathy for women. Women since the early 70s, possibly the 60s, have been sold this big fat lie. A woman today, she needs obviously to be physically attractive. Well, she needs to be skinny. She needs to dress beautifully. She needs to work hard and get good grades. She needs to go into the workforce and compete with men and have this career. She needs to start her own business. She needs to become a founder. She's got to travel a bit, and she's obviously got to read a book, and she's got to do some arty, girly stuff like pottery or painting. As good as she plays a bit of sport, she's got to keep fit. She's got to keep up the Pilates and the yoga and the gym, whatever else she does to that. She's got to diet, and then she's got to get what's the guy in Sex and the City called?
Mr.
The
Big.
dude in the Sex. Sorry,
Mr. Big.
Yeah, the dude in the Sex and the City with the big nose. She's got to get Mr. Big, and she's got to snap him up well before she's 28, but she's got to sleep with a bunch of high status guys before she settles for Mr. Big. Maybe a rock star, maybe an athlete, maybe a CEO or a guy who's worth a lot of money, preferably a lot of them. They're all over Instagram. And she's got to get them to love her as well. And she's got to get Mr. Big. She's got to get the ultimate, super confident, handsome guy. What's that? My bi girlfriends at the time read 50 Shades of Grey. They just thought it was the biggest joke ever. This guy is a hedge fund manager. He's got all this free time to hang out with this girl and tie her up and do lame, kinky stuff with her. So she's got to have all that. And then she's got to capture this guy's heart. And she's going to be 28. He's going to be about 32 or 33 or 35. She's somehow got to take this tall, handsome hedge fund manager off the market from all the other girls, which is kind of like me beating Michael Jordan in basketball when he first three-peated. It's just not going to happen. It could happen, but it's probably unlikely. Sorry about all the Michael Jordan metaphors. It's my word for greatness. And then she's got to do that. She's got to have kids. And then once she has the kids, she's got to get perfect tits back. She's got to look great. She's got to have her 18-year-old or 21-year-old bikini ass. Then she's got to somehow continue to work in her career. And she's got to be a great mother. And she's got to give blowjobs like a porn star. And she's got to come like a motherfucker. She's got to be a wonderful wife. She's got to be able to cook. She's got to be able to clean. She's got to care for him. She needs to be, caring for the family and planning for the family and decorating the house. It's like men have been sold one giant, big, fat, whopping lie. Women have had it much worse than us. I mean, I know they started making women's magazines for men in the 80s, like Men's Health, just to repress us even further, even though there's some good tips in there. I'm very grateful to them. But they're trying to make men like women. So yeah, have a bit of empathy for women for what they've been through. And I'm really into this shit because I suppose the science of manipulation and what's really going on in the world that we can't see, we generally only speculate about. I listened to a podcast where the editor of Cosmo, which would have been one of the best jobs in America for a woman, she admitted on podcast like 40 years later, her owners told her to completely make up this story about women in Bible Belt, US, Ohio, or somewhere who were working professional jobs and juggling like 7 or 8 different men and still getting to church on Sunday. And it was just a complete and utter fiction. And if you look at how movies changed from the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s, how, now it's, if a man even is rude, if a man even says an unpleasant word to a girl, he's a misogynist, we're going to cancel him. But it's okay in hit movies for some woman to walk up to 2 men in a row and kick them full on in the nuts in a way that could potentially burst a testicle. So women have been sold a big fat lie. You've been sold a big fat lie. And Tess and I at Social Coach are here to tell you the truth, which many of you won't like and you're haters, but this is the way you get results with women and the way you get the results in your life. All progress starts by telling the truth. That's what they teach you at Alcoholics Anonymous. Tess, as a woman who's probably done a pretty bloody good job of all that stuff, 2 degrees, former model, lots of interests, blah, 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 blah. Just talk about your perspective on that.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like, women, it is hard for us. Dating's hard. It's honestly, you guys think that we test you and that makes us, like, why should you bother? But it's really important. It's really important that women have standards. If we, like, the only reason we would be testing is because you need to, like, we have standards, right? If we had no standards and we're just going around sleeping with anyone and falling in love with, every guy who comes around, like, it's not going to end well. And also you would see us as less valuable as well. Okay, so it's like, you've got to understand, we basically do the same thing with each other. You guys might not think you test us. You definitely do. I think, again, this goes back to women thinking we know what we want as well, but not actually understanding what we do want and what we need in a relationship, and what we're attracted to early on as well.
Do you think men really test you? I mean, most guys are just far too fucking stupid, I think.
Well, obviously you have your own tests. I would say, like, if a woman. I mean your boundaries. Like, if a man.
Boundaries.
Exactly.
Some guys don't even have them.
So sorry. It's definitely not as intentional the same way that women test. But I mean, you have your boxes that need to be ticked, right? So it's the reason women test is because that's the only way we can find out whether these boxes are going to be ticked, right? For you guys, the boxes might be different, and you might not need to test necessarily because you can just observe, or you can, it's easier for you to figure out whether those boxes are going to be ticked.
Sorry, Tess, I'm going to educate you in men. Most of us have 3 boxes. Physically attractive, gives us a bit of a blowy every now and then, and isn't a bitch. That really sums it up. Most men, if they get those 3 things, they're fucking good. That's marriage material. Can you guys in the comments or left give me some support on this? Is it true that most men, that's just your 3 boxes? has sex more often than the better. If she cooks, that's a big advantage too. But yeah, looks physically attractive and stays physically attractive. Sex, blowjobs, all that stuff we like, and isn't a bitch. And most guys will be so happy if they just get that. And that's not really that hard to test from, apart from the fact we don't have the social IQ to test, most of us. We're very, very simple creatures. And if I become a woman's dating coach, that's one of the first things I'll say. You guys just massively overestimate what you need. You think it's all complicated. I don't know how YouTube channels that teach women's dating coach have thousands of videos, because there's really nothing to it. There's not really much to it. Just follow those 3 steps and you'll do much better than all the other girls. It really is that simple. What do you think, Tess?
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense, actually. Yeah, I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, though, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just sleep with a bunch of girls. My first, in my 30s, because I was a late life virgin, my first thing was she would let me have sex with her. My first girlfriend, the only thing I liked about her was she'd let me have sex with her. Really, there's zero. I mean, she was attractive enough to be seen in public. Nothing you'd show off about, but she wasn't wretched or anything. But she'd let me have sex with her. That was the whole basis of our relationship. Had a vagina, let me use it on a regular basis. I'm in. I'm sold. It didn't matter. We had nothing in common. That's all I needed, and I was a pretty successful guy then. And I mean, yeah, I was desirable too. I had this skinny little body with narrow hips, but I had these massive, massive shoulders. And I could throw a basketball in the air and dunk it backwards at 6 feet and half an inch. That's because I got lots of fast twitch muscle fibers, which some of those black guys in America have. My joke is I got the fast twitch muscle fibers to be really good at sport, but I didn't get the big what's it like they probably got too. I don't know. I probably wanted the big what's it because I had a really small what's it. We might do a couple more questions. No more. Oh, we're at the 3:40 mark. We can't go longer than Scorsese's last movie that I haven't seen yet about Indians. We're going to cut it before then. Do one more question and then we might move on.
Okay, well, this one from Pat. If we were to go in and play these games, then why are they worth dating?
That's a great question, and that's what so many of you guys watching on YouTube will be saying. I'll answer. If a man's going to expect me to eat healthy food and exercise a bit and stay in shape, why is he worth dating? Thank you. That's the best question of the night and my best answer. Tell me, if a man's just going to demand that, you know, I'm attractive enough for him to want to have sex with, and I've got to go out my way and eat broccoli and maybe do Pilates or something and not eat chocolate cake all day when I'm down. If I've got to have the discipline to do that, why do I want this guy? That's every bit as absurd. With respect, with the greatest respect. There's a lot of things in life I'm really clueless at, that I'm naive about. But yeah, that's an answer to your question. The thing is, once you actually start to understand tests, which is the thing I'm most passionate about teaching guys, once you start to understand tests and you have a bit of experience with women, then you can start to figure out, oh, wow, this girl tests a lot versus a girl who doesn't test quite so much. And then you go, just like I explained, whatever, an hour ago, if I look at the great women of my life, 2 of them, there was a bit of testing. One of them, when I actually got her, and she was basically like a girl I saw when I was in her city doing boot camps. She threw probably the best test I've ever got in my life at me later. But in the actual seduction process, there wasn't a single test. And if there was, I didn't see it. Interestingly, as I was talking about last week, where did I meet her? The literature section of the bookstore. We had so much in common. She was a model. No guy had ever approached the literature section. And yeah, just the fact of where I met her alone gave me the most staggering advantage over you guys, over everyone else in terms of getting my way into her pants. So yeah, women are going to play games. When you find a good one, when you learn about women's tests and sleep with a few girls to learn what you're doing, as well as working with us, then you find a good one, she'll test you a lot less. But the idea that she's going to stop testing you, I think, is a bit naive. Just like, when's a man going to stop expecting me not to eat lots of chocolate cake and sit on the couch? Never, if you've got any standards. Anyway, that is a fantastic question. Maybe we should sign out with that, or should we do one more? Tess, we'll do one more.
Yes, I'm trying to find. Have you seen any which are really, really good, James?
I've been leaving it up to you. You're doing a good job of it. That's a good idea. I might have a wee look.
Yeah, we'll finish on a high.
We should say at the start. So often the best stuff that we give you is at the very end. Anyway, if we can't see anything, we don't want to. Did we do this one? Oh, thank you so much for that. I'm probably turning a lot of people off by trying to be funny. I've had some really nasty comments, which I kind of find funny. I know I have a small niche of people who find me funny. It's probably 10%, but I reckon it's the ones with the highest IQ. And I have a lot of data on that, because when I do public speaking to like 50 people, sometimes for 4 days, I'm keeping a record of who laughs at what I say. And yeah. They are the guys with the highest IQs. That was like the most conceited thing I've said in all my life, I think. I do a good black dick joke though. So, and maybe I need to do a few poo jokes. I did a really good poo joke a few YouTube lives back that I think people appreciated. Okay, I'll leave you guys with a dick joke. I should do this earlier because no one will see it now. Now I'll save my good dick joke for later. Someone says keep singing. Oh, someone says I'm handsome. Okay, this is a great comment. You think I'm handsome? I'm not. I'm not handsome. I'm an expert at presenting myself. I had a bad haircut then, so it's not very good. Like when I wear these make me as attractive as I possibly can, given my build, my jeans, the way I style my hair, everything is like engineered to make me as attractive as possible. You do style before date plans, don't you? That's the second thing Tess does with you. She goes through all your style and your social media. So many guys will have an Instagram or they'll have a WhatsApp photo, and that one thing is this gigantic hole in their dating funnel, and you guys have fucking no idea about it. Thank you for the feedback. I guess given I'm 55, I probably am handsome now relative to all the other guys, but I'm not. I've got a big nose. I've got this weird pointy chin that I cover with a beard. I've got terrible teeth because I've had so much stress in my life, my childhood, my finance career, and a toxic girlfriend. And I've got this tiny little small mouth because they gave me braces, weak jawline. I've got a sunken chest. I've had to get, one time I was getting a gay guy to sort of wax me fucking bum, which wasn't very pleasant. I even got him to do scrotum one time, just so when a girl goes, you don't know what we go through, you, with all that hot wax down near our private bits. I go, yes, I do. That shuts him up. So it's probably worse for us, particularly if you're an old man and the scrotum's hanging a long way down. So there's a lot more stuff to actually pull off. There's a lot more free skin that you, who here has had their scrotum waxed so you can, whenever a girl pulls that one on you, you can go, no, you can't get me with that. Richard Marx is the goat. Thank you so much, guys. We'll finish with this. Could those tests be a biological thing, like how the guy will temperamentally handle the demands of parenthood? That's a good question. I don't know enough about temperamentally handle the demands of parenthood. I don't have enough background on that subject. Could the test be a biological thing? Absolutely. Women are armed with this. I think I covered raising kids, social intrigue back in the cave or the village, and just going through life not being raped, knowing whether a guy is going to be a good partner for them, surviving a relationship with a creature who's like 70 or 80% or 100% stronger than her with masses of testosterone who could severely injure at any point. Women are biologically equipped to mate with a creature who's dramatically stronger and more violent than them. That's why they're so good at this. You could argue in recent years, our violence has been completely taken away and their social IQ advantage has just run rampant. It's what every TV show is about and half romantic novels. And most of the great works of literature. So you could argue that's been a bit rough for us men. Anyway, I think we're going to sign off. Thank you so much for the support. We got to 12,000. If any of you still here, as I said, 93.6% of you haven't subscribed. Just share, comment with it. If you guys want to support us, the video will be live in about 10 minutes or something. If you could leave a comment, or probably like 3 or 4 minutes the way YouTube's going, just leave some comments, ask some of the questions you asked there. I'll put more time and effort into it. That will help us more and more, because if we start getting a bunch of these that are getting 15, 20,000 views, we'll be in America very quickly. We'll have a global community where you guys can talk to 40s, 50s, 60 guys, make friends with the guys, a similar occupation background to you, and we'll give you some of the stuff we only give our paid clients, or we'll give it to you for like a trivial amount of money a month to be part of our social coach community. The number one thing we've done for our clients in our life, I think I'm amazing. I think Tess is amazing. But the number one thing we can do for you is introduce you to someone who's really well suited for you, and implement this stuff together. Because the dating coaches have made much more money than me. I've heard repeatedly their stuff was awful. 95% of the students hated it. Some of them did like 10, 12 boot camps and still got no results. But they created a big community, and the guys got some results just out of having wings. So we can give you what we think, predictably to be the best dating advice in the world, plus a community. If you like, subscribe, ring the bell and all that. Tess, you want to sign off with anything? I sound too salesy. We might just do one more thing before I sign off. Is there a good question there?
I thought this one was pretty good. Why do women test men more harshly once they know he has real resources or status?
I mean, in many cases, in the case of many of my clients, they're getting a read on how much they can control you. And if you start by flaunting your money, that you're saying you're a sucker. So yeah, many women will get a guy with resources, and they're like, when they're 22, they were testing men to see how confident, how good they were at this woman's testing. At 28 or 32, they're testing guys to see, is he tall, pretty handsome, rich? And how bad is he at the woman's testing? So that I can have Mr. Right, who I can completely control. And then in many cases, they'll go bang their yoga teacher or private trainer and just destroy the man, simply like I opened the YouTube live. So we signed off on a negative note, but anyway, we're trying to help do the right thing by you guys. Thank you so much. Huge thanks to the wonderful Tess. She's such a big part of our success. And you guys, thanks for your comments. Thanks for rocking up to these. Thanks for sharing it. That's why we've gone from like 800 views or 400 views to 12,000. We'll be in America soon, and we'll have a global community and make all you guys legends. Okay, I keep saying one more thing. And yeah, I'll say this. Anyway, I was in a library yesterday, and I went to the front of the place. Whenever I travel, I go into a bookstore and see what books are they featuring in the front window and the front sections. That teaches me so much about the city I'm going into. Like Manhattan, it might be literature or arts or acting or movies. If you go to whatever, Columbus, Ohio, or West Virginia, it's usually the autobiography of some football player or college football or something. But I went into this library in not a gay area in Sydney, and the entire front section was dominated by queer, colors of the rainbow, great speeches from transsexual people or something. And this is what they're shoving down the young kids' throats. So you older guys thinking you're too old, you're too grey, whatever, to ever get a woman. The younger generation is gone. It's wiped out. It's gone. It's gone. It's a war zone. It's over. There's no competition from younger men because they've been brainwashed 20, 50 times worse than us. So yeah, don't be scared of approaching younger women if you do what we say and you do it skillfully and respectfully, because they're sure as hell don't want to date guys their age today. On that note, we'll sign out. Thank you so much, Tess, and keep smiling, and bye for now. It's longer than a Scorsese movie, his last one with the Indians, which I haven't seen. We have to cut these down. Thanks, guys.